Jack tidies up and the Hawks are well set on the far side. Mackenzie's going to get there. Steadies up, confronted, finds the path forward. Just overkicked. Rosie on the straight turnover.
Hawthorn set up now behind the ball, so Blake Hardwick's gone back. Which often we see in the second half of quarters.
Spot Burgoyne, who takes the mark just outside the perimeter. Quick layoff was a good one. Bergman came with energy and power. Poor power. 4 goals before you know it. And Miles Bergman, his role is absolutely vital now that Houston's gone. And he's really stepping up.
Well, it's interesting, hello, because Hardwick rolled back with that play, and he may have been Hardwick's man, so he made the most of the opportunity. So just see Bergman, just so he's in the middle of the picture. They are getting very high, the defenders. Port, we know, over a period of time, McKinney's been coached to like to play really high, try and lock it in the front half. But that time, with one less Hawthorn forward, you've got space for the defenders to run and get on the end of opportunities like this. He was good enough to finish.
Yeah, their forward half game's been really strong at the start. Port Adelaide, 19 of 25 points have come from that mode. Great kick by Rosie. That's a responsibility of the forwards, isn't it? Close off those options in the middle of the ground.
So yeah, it's interesting. Hardwick has floated back forward. That may have been his man.
Joel over the top of Wines. Out near the wing. Wines, though, buffeted in. He threw it. Joel's ball. Looks for the chance to come forward. Newcomb spread beautifully. Turns, doesn't go immediately. Hardwick instead from long range. Didn't hit it sweetly. McGuinness has got to go at the ground ball. Bergman for company. McGuinness wins it. And passes to D'Ambrosio. Opens up. Slices it. Goal. Should have got a better look. Rounded into the woodwork.
Willem Drew on John Newcomb, doing a good job so far. 3 touches. John Newcomb was really the only bit of space that we've seen him get in the early part of this game.
So back to 17 on the near miss. As a defender, Rosie can use his kicking in skills. But again, it's Sicily with the incoming ball. Umpire lets them play. Race was over it. Now Lord. Halfway through this opening quarter. Adelaide Oval at capacity again. And plenty of reason to get involved. Ward just squeezes one out to half forward. Adelaide with the first touch. Rosie getting the hang of this half-back business. They work it across. And then through the middle. Powerful handball. Except for Cochrane. Runs into Reynolds, who came off his man successfully.
Yeah, he was the spare behind the ball, Josh Whittle. So sometimes you've got to make those split-second decisions to come forward and impact. If you hadn't have done that, Port Adelaide would have been inside forward 50.
Nash. Warple. Blind kick, not by Jones.
So it's spare v spare at the moment. Hardwick the spare for Hawthorn, James the spare for Port Adelaide.
Sin out on the wing to the bouncing ball. Decision to make up ahead. He's gone for Power Pepper and left it short. Whittle fills the hole.
So what do you make of that, Geordie, that Hardwick's gone back already?
Well, I think Sam Mitchell's just trying to give his defence a little bit of support. They've been opened up in the early part of the game, let's be honest.
It's been a major function of Hardwick's, hasn't it? When they lose momentum, just to try and settle things down, throw him beyond the ball. He starts as a forward, but then rolls around.
And it's usually around the 3 goals is the marker.
He's gone back in every game.
Yeah.
It's got a kick mark for the Hawks.
So it's now Rosie's the spare. So this is why you go methodically trying to work the ball forward, trying to avoid the Port Adelaide spare. And potentially try and draw him up.
And drawing all the momentum out of it as well. So the Hawks are going to try to open it up for battle. It was a battle, all right. Rosie came shoulder to shoulder and Port win the duel. Horn Francis steers them forward. Well placed ball for Georgiades.
Again, Hawthorn's kicking just off in the moment. Port Adelaide pressure's good.
Dink over the top for Rioli. It was overly ambitious.
They're kicking at 56% Hawthorn, so we know we've lauded them for their foot skills, but they haven't moved the ball as well this year as we think from the outside. I think they're a great ball-moving team. That's a part of their game I don't think Sam Mitchell will be happiest with.
Port set up again. 17-point leaders. Mick worked around Wines. Clearing the aerial warble. Port pretty well set though. Bergman had a fly, dropped the mark. Jones might have. Ginnivan holds up, did well. Jack just to McKenzie. It was all on the fingertips. Away to Warple, who puts it out in front of Watson. Bergman keeps him company. Steers the pass for Gunston, but missed him by a margin.
Well, it's a good result in the end. The Hawthorn forwards are so high up the ground because of the danger that Port Adelaide are possessing in the middle of the ground. And when they get the chance to transition the ball, there's just no forwards to be able to wreck that kick to.
Still a long way to go in this opening quarter, let alone the match. Meek with the tap, it's all Port underneath. And they work collaboratively. Torpedo for me was innovative to half forward. Well, you could say it's going back 50 years. Power Pepper, this time in the right place. Takes the mark, you can see exactly what he was going to do, out to the left. That pass though from Moraes fell well short of the target. It's a little untidy, they appeal.
Say throw in. That was a terrific kick by Horn Francis. Power Pepper was his only option. Just put it to his advantage.
Sam! Still making sweet. Ball was there with McKenzie. And he sends it into the crowd. So, we're really finding out what the pressure is like here, the Hawthorn defence.
Bit of an ironing malfunction there for Cochrane. So right to the teeth of goal. Get after that. It's a crummer's paradise. Ball spits out the side. Weddle onto it. Hippie wasn't ready. Rioli was. Richards with a chance. He's got two. He's up for the new fights. It's a dynamite start from Port.
Great start by Port. They're scoring from forward half. They set up the ground beautifully. They're being able to turn the ball over from full stoppage and capitalise there. So it's a bit of a concern. The dump kick from Port Adelaide under that, from Hawthorn under that pressure, kicking back to the Port Adelaide defensive setup, and then they can just go straight back at them, and it's exposing their goals. Another situation here, the dump kick out, good pressure there. A lot of Port Adelaide numbers around. Power Pepper's been influential, good finish by Richards. They've taken their chances too.
Yeah.
5 goals.
When they're really controlling space, you see Richards there just pops from congestion. There's no point him being in and amongst the congestion. Pop out, wait for a handball receive, get yourself ready to go. Classy finish. Controlling the space really well. I know their contest work is really good. Their pressure is really good, Port Adelaide, but they're finding a lot of space.
Bergman, the only man over 6 foot, really, who's kicked a goal so far for Port Adelaide. We've got to get busy again, as Drew's kick is not marked by Battle. Ready to swoop everywhere. Mead has one. He goes for an expansive dribble kick and goes wide of the mark. And he's got a smile.
13 inside 50s, Port, 5 goals, 2, plus 6 in that area. Hawthorn only the 7 inside 50s.
Morrison turns and goes. He needs Hardwick up the line. Bergman wore him close. Burgoyne's there underneath, so Port the forward half turnover. Where will Bergman spend it? Deep inside the 50. Georgiades worked his way to the front masterfully.
Yeah, very good on medal this time. Just able to get to the front like you called. It caused some problems in that semi-final late last year. Very dynamic. They're going to the 1-on-1s. They're happy to prepare to go. Or 2v2s. Well read.
Battle got caught up the field, so it's Georgiades v. Amon.
Mitch Georgiades kicked 3 in the semi-final. He's off coaches' votes last week. That's the test. Georgiades. Both meetings. Let off 25, and it might have been 30.
9-8 for the season. He kicked a big goal late last week as they made their charge. He's the fourth most targeted player inside the 450 in the competition. Carrying a big load in this Port Adelaide forward line. Rass. Look at the angle of that kick. Wasn't a place you wanted to turn it over. And Jones tried to force feed it to Georgiades again. Well done to Battle to run enough interference.
That Jones possession is where Port Adelaide are winning. When the ball comes to the ground, the first player onto that ball is a Port Adelaide player.
And as a result, they're pressing again. Line's a bit of a blind one. Battle. Rarity, bit of time and space. But still, the missed kick in terms of direction and weighting.
17 times now.
Now, this is the first little skirmish.
Zach Butters right at the bottom of it.
Play's going to go on. They'll check for fines later. To half forward. Hardwick takes it, turns it to full forward. Farrell has to defend Ginnivan. Now Moore. From the corner, Dylan Moore.
Even that one's uncharacteristic by Hawthorn. Usually you see Dylan Moore trying to turn away from goal, and Jack Ginnivan would have been the... There's the free kick.
Is that the $500 that you made the 50k, Jerry?
I don't think so. More victim.
The Wizard not short of words to him afterwards. Just trying to provoke a little, perhaps.
Hawks trying to come up with a goal. Meek pretty well went straight up. Diving over the top, trying to create the play was Newcomb. Port will be able to clear. Farrell in the centre field. Rioli sees it out the back. Now Jats in the race. Richards has been lively. Richards is going to win out. Hand passes it away. Rioli couldn't quite get clear. Richards still viable. What's he got inside? He's got Georgiades.
Very brave Rioli there, just to grab that contest, not to get out Mark by Brass, just get the ball to ground. Richards following up nicely. He's been very dangerous in that front half. Good composure too, just to find that inside 50 target. He knew that Hawthorn's defenders were going to be all over the shop here with a quick ball movement. Just had to take your time here.
It's half a dozen changes to the Port Adelaide side that played in that semi-final, and Richards is the most profound of those right now. Mitch Georgiades missed his first set shots. He will be eager to make amends. Georgiades does just that. Port beyond the 5-goal threshold.
Oh, that's great. Keeps the crowd in it, keeps them energised, and they've been fantastic. Hawthorn really struggling to move the ball, but when Port Adelaide have decided to move it, they're moving it beautifully.
Well, I think that's I think that's the thing. At the moment, Hawthorn are being denied the corridor, so everything that they're getting is wide. Port Adelaide are forcing them wide, so defending the ground really well. When Port Adelaide get their chance, they have just got space to work into. They're working harder than Hawthorn at the moment. They're more predictable to their teammates, and that there is a clear depiction of how the first quarter has unfolded.
Spot on. I think they're working harder than Hawthorn. Clearly shows both teams are moving, the way they're working on defence.
Well, there was a fear for some coming here. This could actually be a one-sided affair despite the billing. I don't think anyone thought it'd be 6-1 in favour of Port Adelaide. McKenzie stripped of it again. Butters the no-looker to the voice of Wines. Georgiades in the frame again. The leap of Jath. And a quick kick from the former Port halfback. But now the Hawks draw an impy.
He's got a lot of that though, hasn't a quick kick.
Yep. There's a free kick here.
Yeah, I think Rioli and Barras behind the ball. Initial teammates. Yep.
Barras can see the funny side of it. Pretty sure Ken Hickley could at this stage because everything is going Hawthorn's way. Amon crafts a kick to Impey. Another export now, very much part of the Hawthorn mix. The Hyde will just tossed up in hope winning. The Ruckman in their own unique style flew for it. Jones with the clearer. Jaff and Richards get the legs pumping again. And the insurance at the back. Battle. On the chest of McKenzie. Lurching forward. And now looking forward. There's no movement yet. There's a few arms poking, just gentle suggestions about where he might place it. Obliges. Porter ready as well to defend. Delia the first hands. Poke the veteran off to Rosie. Just jam it on the boot and hope. And the mark. Well, initially it was going to be played, but it wasn't held. So it's a throw in.
Lloyd. Jordan. Unusual.
Inside the last couple of minutes of this opening term. Meek protects the front. Newcomb overran it. Jones coming through. Sweet with a chance. Brings it inboard. Farrell not without risk. Out to Mead. Found the way through. Wines has got support inboard. it won't quite reach Cochrane. Ginnivan had something to say about that. He'll pump the Hawks in deep. Needs Chol against Aaliyah. Aaliyah had front position, dropped it. Watson stripped with the ball. Chol stripped with the ball. It's ferocious around the footy.
That's great fight. Great fight by Port Adelaide. I mean, that's the risk you take when you come into the middle of the ground. You do give the opposition some looks at it, but it's been so...
Aaliyah missed the boot, so still to be dealt with. Ginnivan ran into the jam.
It's been so fruitful in the middle of the ground for Port Adelaide. Thanks, guys. We'll keep challenging Hawthorn in that area of the ground.
Huge first quarter for Butters. 8 disposals, 4 clearances.
Just over a minute to at least see out for Port Adelaide. The opportunities are here for Hawthorn. No way forward for Amon. McGuinness. Rioli. Buys a bit of time. There's 5 players through the Hawthorn jumpers that are closest. So it's a matter of sorting things out. The crowd, if you didn't know already, telling you that it's the Hawthorn captain with the footy. And he hits a target this time.
So what did he do exactly? He hit the post to send Port Adelaide to a preliminary final.
They may have responded a little bit to their coach. Aaliyah. It's high. That is 50, so that might change the Kenny signal, which was just to calm it down and don't do anything silly. The adrenaline's pumping. Aaliyah doesn't get forward much these days.
Well, Georgiadis has got about 20 metres on the glass.
Don't do anything silly. I'm pretty sure that's what Ken was saying. It could be extremely costly. What will the price be? Ginnivan trying to create, trying to buy some time. The moment to go. Still not there. McKenzie hanging on was Rosie. Winning the ball was Rosie. Winning the quarter is Rosie's men. Port Adelaide at quarter time. 6 goals to 1. And the Port fans are on their feet. Kenny's got them revved up. Now it's up to Sam and the Hawks. 3 big quarters to go. What a finish to get around.
Wowee, folks, here we go. Port Adelaide's come out. What a shocker. The start of this game is the opening quarter. The Port power on fire. Port Adelaide, 6-3-39. Hawthorn, I don't think they felt this much pressure in a long time. 1 goal, 2-8. Folks, do not write. I repeat, do not write Hawthorn off. They have been known to come back and come back hard. It's only 31 points at quarter time. Port have probably played their best football. Hawthorn haven't been able to get into the game at the moment. I'm expecting Hawthorn to bounce back. I think you're expecting that too. I know it's a bit of a shock. Addy G, AGTG, is it over for Hawthorn? I don't think so. I don't think so just yet. As I said, stay tuned. Wowee, Port Adelaide. I tell you what, they're a different team each week. It's hard to follow them. Let's have a little bit of a look at the ins and outs for the teams. I didn't get to this. The ins were Tom Cochrane, Travis Boak for Port Adelaide. Out was going Darcy Byrne-Jones, Logan Evans. Coming in for the Hawks was James Warple. Will Day was going out. There is your team lineups. Let's have a quick look at the players' stats, the goal scorers. Let me reload this up first, and we'll get a bit better guide. There we go. We've got a few goal scorers so far. Joe Richards for Port Adelaide, multiple goal scorer. He's got 2 goals. Willie Rioli, Jackson Mead, Mitch Georgiadis, and Miles Bergman, all singles. Jack Gunston, the only goal scorer for the Mighty Hawks. Connor Rose and Zach Butters leading the way on 9 possessions in the opening quarter. Joey Richards on 8 for Port Adelaide. Cam McKenzie, he's the best so far for Hawthorn on 7. James Sisley, he'll be working overtime, I think, if Port Adelaide keep up, what they're doing right now. He's had 6, 5 kicks, a handball. He's had 3 marks. I tell you what, they need him up and firing, try and protect that back line for the Hawks. Let's roll down. Travis Boak, 6 in the opening quarter. Jack Ginnivan, he's got 5. There we go. I don't think he'll be mouthing off, or the Wizard at this point in the game. There we go. I tell you what, they do need those two boys to get up and fire him up. The Wizard, he's only had 3 touches, 2 kicks in the handball, being kept quiet. All right, Jason Horn-Francis, a little bit the same, just with the 3. Let's roll on down. Jace Burgoyne, 3 touches, 1 kick, 2 handballs. And there we go. Jack Gunston, just the 1 possession for Hawthorn, a kick, but kicked accurately for the goal. There we go. There are the player stats right there. We're only a couple of minutes away from the bounce of the ball for the second term. Tell you what, this is going to be an interesting second quarter, folks. What's going to happen? Don't forget, put your vote in, by the way. Put your vote in. Have a look at a polling vote so far from the live chat. We've got 100% saying Hawthorn to win the game. 100%. No one's got faith in Port Adelaide. Tell you what, the way they've come out, though, they've come out on fire. Bang, bang, bang. They hit 3 goals within the first few minutes of the game. Hawthorn pegged one back. Then Port Adelaide pegged one back. Another and another. 6 goals, 339. Fantastic opening quarter there by Port Adelaide. 1 goal, 2-8 Hawthorn. I think that's probably the slowest start they've seen for a little while. All right, let's get back down to the commentators. We're only a minute out from the bounce of the ball for the second quarter. Whew, that's Port Adelaide by 31.
First quarter, obviously Connor Rosie, the skipper from Port Adelaide, going to halfback and getting him into the game. So handball received, as soon as he sees the ball being whipped through the middle, he's whipping through, Bergman's whipping through, Farrell's getting on the end of it, then moving through with so much speed. And you see Bergman here. The Hawthorn half forwards have to be aware that Farrell, Bergman and Rosie, they've already set the trend. They're going to be sniffing those handball receives, especially in the middle. And you've got to know that Farrell and Bergman can kick 50, 55 metres, especially at this oval. One to keep an eye on.
And Zach Banner's been fantastic. Port Adelaide inside, 9 disposals, 5 clearances. He's just been dynamite there. And the whole Port Adelaide midfield's been fantastic there, Geordie. They've been able to get territory. That's been a big improvement on what we've seen at the start of this season. There's the leading players on the ground. I spoke about Rosie off half-back. Richards was outstanding as well with 2 goals, Geordie.
Well, that's the challenge for mainly the Hawthorn midfielders, to close down this space for those players right there. If they see a yard, they'll absolutely burn you on the spread. So they've been fantastic. Butters has been good.
Well,
Hawthorn's been good.
Yeah, they've been fantastic. And so they scored from front half as well. They set the game up beautifully. When Port Adelaide playing their best football, they score a lot from front half, 25 points there. 39 points Hawthorn gave up. It's the 5th worst under Sam Mitchell's reign, so it's a bad quarter. We know he's the master at flicking the magnets around or changing his strategy up. Let's have a look and see what he does.
Yeah, I think he would have gone straight to the midfielders and put the pressure on the midfield. The territory battle is won and lost in that midfield, and they were well and truly beaten, that Hawthorn midfield, minus 11 in contested possession. And then also on the outside, that's the biggest challenge.
Of course, the Hillocks experienced this last game up against the Giants, but the difference was it was a 6-goal win.
Yes,
Fantastic.
that's right, yeah. Different conditions, beautiful. It's been beautiful weather here the last few days. The crowd's in it, and Port Adelaide have taken their chances. Can't underestimate that. The players are able to go back and hit the scoreboard, keep the crowd energised.
This was the Premier's request. It's been a promoter's dream for him. For the locals, 31-point leaders entering the second term. Newcombe and Warple trying to combine, but the pressure came from everywhere.
All his options were closed down in the midfield, which allowed the pressure to come.
Race off the wing. Play on. Game number 4. Wheels out. Plays in the Horn-Francis direction. Went early to protect the drop zone. Methodical, not blazing. And now checking the kick to the lead of Georgiades. Across the front came Impey. Not playing man in front this week.
Well done by Impey. It's a dangerous position to stand in front. You see here the Horn-Francis mark.
Jordan, Lloyd.
It's good hang time.
Caught attacking. Horn-Francis on the fly. Broke the tackle to the teeth of goal. Lord brings it to ground. So ball to be won. Romsey is there as well. The captain serving in every way. Romsey bounces us out to 37 points. A penny for his thought.
the change, haven't we, Jared? Off half-back, starting off half-back tonight. It's been an inspired move, leading possession with it in the first quarter. Now he's named at half-back. He's playing at half-back. He's really a front half player, isn't he? He's getting very high up the field, Geordie.
It's a good finish, isn't it? Snap around the body from 48. I love the work from Jason Horn-Francis. That ball could have gone into another stoppage across there on the left-hand side, but he brought it back into the middle of the ground to a really dangerous position. And these half-backs and wingers for Port Adelaide are finding a lot of space at the moment, which is great concern for Sam Mitchell in the coach's box. That is a fantastic finish. He's having some start to the game, Connor Rosey.
It's a concern because they're dominating clearance 16-9 at the moment, so Hawthorn players getting sucked to the contest.
Margin out to 37. Warple just flings it blindly straight to Sweet. And they're in again with equal numbers, jobs to do. Battle was able to deny Georgiades that time. Sicily had a glance left and right before giving it back to Battle, and they work their way across and now out. Weddle's kick into the space. The platform for Newcomb to try and swivel, but Butters wasn't letting him get away.
Last 7 clearances, Hutto to Port Adelaide. So we always see Sam Mitchell put a number behind the ball. Maybe he needs to start thinking about putting a number around the ball, just to help in that territory battle.
Nick takes it on himself. Another little torpedo, it's catching. Gunston probably can't exactly pace away from Radicalier. It was all a bit in slow motion, and Radicalier eventually gets the handball to Boak, and Morrison was ready and waiting.
Yeah, he wanted to take it over, Radicalier. Really would have been paid deliberate out of bounds.
Lockie Jones back in the goal square with the watching brief on Watson. Lear on Shoal. Radicalier on Gunston. That's all 30 to 40 away from where this throw-in is. Batted away by Butters. Hawks to have first play at Moore and have the support. Weddle cleverly to his own advantage. Waiting on the outside, Morrison. Hardwick. Some holding, but it's going to the defender. And going to Radicalier.
It's a bit happening off camera too. Powell Pepper versus Sicily going at each other. It's a great matchup.
Sim receives regardless and brings Port out. Good spoil from Meat. Luke ended up with it. Sweet in his way. Sweet dips it down. Georgiades boards the target up ahead. Just too cold. It's the more experienced defender. How will Hawthorn approach this? It's a salvage mission already.
They need to change up the midfield mix. They need to get Ginnivan or Watson into the centre bounce.
They've tried more there, but I think you're right. I think once it goes outside the centre bounce, they certainly need more numbers around there because Port Adelaide are dominating inside to outside. But maybe it is a Watson.
Forced into the long down the line. Morrison had a go. Sweet made the spoil. More underneath. Fed it to Morrison. Works it backwards. Battle searches for the targeting board and finds Newcomb with footy in hand.
So they're just not allowing Hawthorn to use the corridor.
Oh, Risky Drew absolutely committed himself. Jarred it clear now. Ball to be won. Farrell off the deck. Here comes Horn-Francis. Straight out the front. Kicks at the pad. Pepper. Couldn't quite win it. Sicily held his nerve and held him at bay. Battle and Barris blind kick down the line, so it's going to be coming straight back.
Too many dump kicks from Hawthorn at the moment. They're under enormous pressure out of their back half.
Look, the time to fumble and recover. Back to Sin, one of the best long kicks in the competition. When he hits it right, and he does. Rising was Lord. Made the contest. Power Pepper. He's going to wow the crowd. More, he says to the fans. What a snap from Sam Powell-Pepper. They had electrified the gather-round crowd, and they led by 43 points. And now we're seeing a little bit of what we came for as well.
It's intriguing to watch behind the camera.
Keep the camera on that because James Sicily would not like to watch that replay. I thought it was a fantastic win by James Sicily. The one that came in before, he was in front of Powell-Pepper, and then he just halved that contest and Hawthorn were able to rebound. Then he just let him go.
Yeah, just let him run out to the ball.
You've got to follow that particular matchup through.
It was really surprising just in play, just to let him go like that. Really have free access to the ball. And Powell-Pepper, wondering There's a lot going on behind play.
43 points. There have been some wicked swings. Hawthorn are going to get going now. Sweet out the back. Drew the footy. Sweet stayed up. Burgoyne shoots it out. Cochrane with a chance to bring them forward. Still a little off balance. Jeff made the spoil on both. Power Pepper with a head of steam. Gave it up though. McGuinness worked it away. So Hawthorn with a chance to build. Gunston comes up. Receives the more pass. Inboard to McGuinness, who kept on working. They find the Hawks inside 50. It's going to be long to a contest, so Chol has to go. He doesn't have good position, and Radaglia Chol has.
When you're caught behind like that, just bring the ball to ground.
Stand, Tom.
If you Chol, give your small forwards and your midfielders a chance to crumb. They're being dominated in every aspect at the moment, Hawthorn.
Out to the wing. Kath to make by Flood up for the right position. Ward having a shake clear. A rare win in a tight contest. Battles handball though was Amos. Lyons didn't look much better, but it's tidied up by Butters. Cochrane a little wild and woolly, but again, Zach. And his second game back. Heading from the front. Kath tracks it down. Ward gonna have plenty of opportunity. Here comes Gunston with the lead. Met nicely by Radaglia with a powerful punch. Again, Butters. The ball finding him. Burgoyne to Sweet. Nice collect from Farrell. And more yardage from Power Pepper to Cochrane. On the slide, Rioli at half forward. They are loose everywhere. The goals are still there. Do you want it? Do you want it? Georgiades says no. He's going to take care.
Yeah, it's just so indicative. Look at the ground ball number here. It's an absolute smashing. Plus 15 Port Adelaide. How often have we seen Hawthorn have got the outnumber at ground ball? Port Adelaide get the ground ball low and they start their chain. Sam Mitch will be really concerned about that aspect of the game. Normally the strength of Hawthorn.
He'll be concerned about just about everything at the moment. This to take Port Adelaide out to a 49-point lead. Two for Miss Georgiades. The goals are coming from everywhere, in every way. And the scoreboard is quite astonishing.
Well, I think that's the thing, Hunter. If you're Sam Mitchell and you're trying to fix some part of this, there's just too much going wrong at the moment. And Port Adelaide in these types of plays have just been too clean. They just kept turning up, and then they get that contested ball into the open spaces. And then even the defenders are all at sea. You just see the decisions that they make here. And the Georgiades slipping behind. And it ends up being an uncontested mark inside the 450.
Yeah, probably like more of the playing around the players around the ball because it is throwing the defenders out. But the defenders certainly not blameless. No, they've been all out of whack. They've been unorganised.
9 goals to 1. Jason Dunn still pose the question, how could Hawthorn be premiership favourites? They won't be anymore, Jace. Unless they can get the scent in their nostrils right now. Sweet wins the tap out near Wines. They duel for the ball. Sweet has committed himself to everything. Warple's hamper spilt the way of Wines. Jaff gets first access going back. Kick to the context. Moore at least halved it and then went on the follow-up, ran into Bergman, dedicated to the tackle and stuck it hard.
Love their pressure too, Port Adelaide. They've turned up tonight. They've brought the heat. They've been able to win the ground ball. But when Hawthorn's had the ball, they've been able to apply the pressure.
Terrace gone early, Jordan.
I know.
Unless they can. Unless they can, Anthony.
Remember round 10 last year?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of improvement to happen before that comeback starts.
So they set up for the boundary, throw in. Nick planted himself in front. Warren Francis got taken high on the way through.
But even that, just proactive at the stoppage from Francis, on the move. Even if he doesn't get, he's taking two Hawthorn midfielders with him, creating space for someone else.
And 10 of the last 12 clearances, Port Adelaide.
Take the ground up ahead, see what comes of it. Lord comes of it. And whacks it in the Georgiades direction. He's going to have plenty of company. Whittle across the front, takes the intercept.
So this is the Hawthorn play. Intercept in the back half. Usually they would try and switch the ball. Well, Adelaide have denied this opportunity so far in the early part of this game. You can see there, looking for the switch, nothing on, forces them back down the line.
And Bergman had the perfect vantage point to take the intercept. Cut off another one, sends it forward to Rosie. Was he close enough? It's line ball. Oh, I think it's got there! 2 goals for the captain, and this is barely believable. Where are you, Hawthorn?
It's been an inspired move by the coaching staff to put this man to half back. Being a very attacking half back by Geordie. They've obviously won the clearance, so that's allowed him to ride up on the back of their clearance dominance, so get high up the field. He's been able to play a lot of the game in the front half, and that's why he's been able to hit the scoreboard. Good finish again. They've kicked well for goal.
But that is the byproduct of Port Adelaide disallowing Hawthorn to switch the ball, forcing them down the line to where their numbers are. Bergman is a really creative player. He will pick off that run in the middle of the ground if there's any space for a player like Rosie. So if you don't use the switch and the inside play like Hawthorn can at the moment, Port Adelaide will.
55 points, 10 goals to 1. It's not what was billed as the main event. To work they go. Wines wins the hard ball off to Drew. Rioli's his target. Kept it trapped in front of him. Fed it to Burgoyne. Looking inside 50. Lord's going to have to stand underneath it. And Georgiades might be the beneficiary. Lord keeps it in. No, he didn't. In front of a well-populated hill. Footy fans of all persuasions.
4-1 out of the centre bounce at the moment.
Glum. And Sam Mitchell has left the box to see what might be done. He might be better off inside the boundary than outside at the moment. Headaches everywhere. Instructions being barked. Order trying to be restored, but really it's about stopping the hemorrhaging. D'Ambrosio got caught. It's good work to get out. McKenzie with a fumble. Hardwick off the last line, so it's kick and hope stuff. Burgoyne set himself and unopposed at the last.
They're second guessing themselves now, Hawthorn. With Bergman.
To the contest, Georgiades arrived late. Horn Francis underneath. Gets his snap away. Lord trying to throw. Here's Pepper. Can he? Almost. Would have been something. Mead works it around. Pressure everywhere.
He was close, Pepper.
Oh, it would have been something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, watch Sean Francis here. He's getting through these stoppage with force.
Sweet with a tap down, back to the goal line. And that's as good a result as Hawthorn could have hoped for. 56 is now the margin. Carl Amon. Heavy to the outer side. Now they break. Looks like he's going to kick to the numbers. Not prepared to take a chance just at the moment, which is understandable. McGuinness with the rise. Gunston's hands shut down immediately. A lot of traffic to get back through. Leaded it well. Farrell just slapped it forward. Pepper, Georgiades, quick thinking. Goal square again. Beautiful take from Roll. He's going to kick a third. They are rampant. They are everywhere. They are Port Adelaide. This is more like Port Adelaide and Sydney last year, rather than when Port met Hawthorn and they came back. I think you've been hiding this stuff, Kenny.
He's struggling to contain his joy at the moment. Again, Port Adelaide have been outstanding. Geordie spoke about it several occasions. They just can't get the uncontested marks going. Now, 31 times Hawthorn has tried to move it from their back half, and only 5 times they've reached their forward 50. Port just turning the ball over and then turning up in numbers.
You can seeing that Port Adelaide spares are, I think that's a really good indication on controlling the ground, really good field position. When you look out there, you just see the Port backs just setting up really well behind the play. And then once they go inside forward 50, they are working as well as they have this year together, the Port forwards.
Too tough and too clean and miles too good. 62 points. The Hawks bereft. Meek, beautiful tap. It goes in deep from Warpool. Didn't amount to what they would have hoped.
Well, that'd hurt. Too tough. Sam Mitchell wouldn't be happy with that. They pride themselves, especially this midfield. Tough bunch of boys in there. They've been absolutely trounced.
Wines ended up getting the tap. Both dispossessed. Sicily sticks the tap.
I was getting a sore neck, Jared, just turning left the whole time out of the centre bounce.
So some rare time in the forward setup. Meek had a mind. Was he taking the ground without it? Leah out in front of Rosie. Up to Horn Francis. He's been pursued, but they made no ground. Richards is out there with Cochrane. Richards lets it bounce away. Probably the right call with a couple of hawks up ahead. Sam Mitchell. With a world of problems ahead. We've only just crossed the halfway mark of the second term, if you can believe that. For that scoreboard to be in operation. A clean tap, but a ricochet the way of Cochrane. Goes nowhere, needs up to meet it. Jones lends a hand. What's he got on the outside? Horn Francis and Burgoyne for company. Burgoyne settles himself over the kick and he finds the target in Butters. Butters has a mind to go. Give them a look inside 50. Lovely mark by Barris. Stop and trade.
You see they're looking to switch. Barris not too familiar with this sort of scoreline. In the last few years at West Coast, not what he signed up for at all. But that is a great shot there down the field. You can see every single Hawthorn player and even Jarman Impey trying to generate some movement. All one need to close down.
Sorry, Jordan. They do have his time. If they can just gradually work their way.
Need to change out the midfield. So Watson and Ginnivan haven't touched the ball this quarter. McKenzie's only had the one there. McKenzie's been playing in the midfield the whole time, Geordie. They need to change the complexion of it.
They've been inside 53 times for the turn. And that's why. They can't get past the wing.
Connor Nash hasn't touched it. He's another midfielder. They really need to throw the magnets out the window and start again.
Lord comes marching out. Excellent effort from Sicily, but Richards found a way. It was touched. So even if the ball turned like Angus Monfrey's kick back here in one of those showdowns, it would have been a goal. McGuinness targets more. Rosie doesn't mind this halfback stuff. Just make the odd score. Charge forward, kick goals, inspire.
Best position on the ground, Hutto. We all want to come back as halfback flankers.
What's to be done? 11 goals to 1. Port attack again. Wines takes up the ruck duties. Nash down. Butters coming through. Hand pass to space. Impey shut it down. Chiaf was hot. Banged into by Powell-Pepper.
Been inspired, Sam Powell-Pepper.
Thanks, boundary, guys. Connor, Ollie, there you
There's a
go.
lot coming through there, isn't there?
Just
Yeah.
play him.
Quite clear at Newcombe Warple. What a fumble that is. Ends up tackling Burgoyne. So what is so clean one way is fumbling and jury the other. Evans holds his ground. Nash wrenches it clear, couldn't really get it away. Burgoyne off the ground. Lines in close confines and Mead over the boundary.
And they'll be happy with this Port Adelaide repeat stoppages. See there, Nick Watson is up in and around the stoppage to give them some support at ground level.
Sicily there down forward now.
Yeah, but that just allows Port Adelaide to have a spare behind the ball once again. And that spare is Connor Rosie.
Understudy's going to work again in the ruck and Wines. Butters coughed it up. Nash. Rare touch thus far. And Newcomb's overwhelmed by the pressure. The delight of the locals filling the Adelaide air.
Thank you, Ollie. Connor.
5 goals, 1 unanswered. Astonishing second quarter. The margin at 62. Ash can't escape. Ash from Cochrane clever. Farrell shapes the kick for Power Pepper. And McGuinness in defence. So a few magnets have been thrown around. Few shenanigans going on the way back to goal. Wines just grabbed it out of the ruck. Power Pepper was taking anything in his road. Needs having quite the night. But as he measured that, and he got it perfectly to Jones.
Again, look how high the half
Big
backs.
give. Here he is again. Oh, this is Rosen.
So Jones and Rose are both positioned inside their forward 50 as half-back flankers when the stoppage is about 65 metres out from goal.
I think that's why Sam Mitchell will be scratching his head. So he sent extra numbers to the stoppage, and they're still losing the stoppages.
Amon given a little attitude, which he was happy to take. He's gone long for Sicily, but he's outnumbered, and O'Lear gliding in. Jones with ball in hand again.
5 intercept marks this quarter. Port Adelaide.
Jones, that's an expansive switch to Sweet. Just dropped it, and Riddle threatened to get through. Sweet stuck attacking one right back. Sin on the advantage. Vaughan Francis steadies himself, walks inboard, gets some momentum to the teeth of goal. Rioli had to go, created just enough interference. Sees it over the boundary.
Not really. He's done that a couple of times in this game. He's had to fly or at least nullify the contest and bring the ball to ground. Great effort by a small forward.
Push again.
The time in forward half, last 10 minutes. 81% in Port Adelaide's favour.
Sweet against Nash, so I wonder what Sweet has in mind. A deft touch for Rioli. Couldn't get it away once or twice. Newcomb held up with the footy. They're trying it.
Jordan, Connor.
Impey swing and a miss. Butters through. Why not? The margin is 69 points, which is the margin of the greatest comeback of all time in AFL history. So that's where we are already, with 6 minutes remaining in the second quarter.
Once again, it's the cleanliness to go from a contested situation to Port Adelaide players waiting on the outside. So you just see there, Willem Drew off the back. He's on Nick Watson, so if Watson gets the ball, he can apply pressure. He just waits, sets himself for that handball that comes out. 40 metres around the body. Too many players from Hawthorn inside the contest. Zach Butters was the player that delivered the handball. This has been some sort of performance.
This has been an absolute smacking in the midfield. There's a 4-3 from stoppage. 1 point for Hawthorn. Plus 23 ground ball gets. That's been the discrepancy in the contested numbers.
Sean Burgoyne.
Well, while this is going on, Miles Bergman's just come off and getting seen to by the trainers. A bit of an injury complaint to his knee. And for Hawthorn, Luke Bruce, the sub, is sitting there. Maybe they need to change it up and activate that now. 300-game player with experience. Maybe get him on.
Morrison fights for the ball on the wing. Newcomb tried to create the play and did so successfully. Impey in very close to get it on. Back to Impey, who ran the line. He'll give the Hawks a look in the square and Chol. No, he couldn't. Jones did just enough. And passes to Burgoyne. Brings Port aggressively in the Georgiades direction. Battle equally, so did he throw that to Newcomb? No, he tapped it. Newcomb caresses it to the hot spot. Rosing's everywhere. He should get 50 there.
That's 50, yeah.
Watson just came running straight through the protected zone. Yeah, Rosie should go too. He'll give the hand pass away. Butters, one-on-one deep forward. Horn Francis at the drop. Paddles, gathers. Can he? Where's he thinking? Had time to get it away. Georgiades out the sweep. Probably a bit too cute. Horn Francis, too high. Just be the battering ram.
He's been a ball this quarter. Coming up for his 8th disposal. He's been enormous.
The Hawthorn players just looked at each other.
They're second guessing themselves. He just wanted it more, Horn Francis. Just see
Still
there.
rules to one.
Yeah, I understand. That's fair play. I didn't see it that way, but that's fair.
Watson gets a half concession from the umpire, but the other end.
It looked like a textbook 50. Jason Horn-Francis to inflict yet more pain. That bloke Jordan. But it does tip us into record-breaking territory if this goes. It'd be something to behold, though, if it happens.
Yeah, it certainly would be. Scoreless quarter from Hawthorn for 27 minutes. Amon bangs it up to the outer side. Radical here, fisting it forward. D'Ambrosio had a lot to go his way for it to find a teammate. It did. To Ward initially, and now Newcomb are in hot pursuit. Sicily always has time. Newcomb doesn't have much. Ginnivan, cue the moves. To half forward. Gunston found a way and realises suddenly he can mark it. A pace back to goal. Battle amongst them charging forward. As they look for a different recipe, Georgiades finds himself in the land of defence, but Gunston is rubbing his hands together thinking that he can. He is their lone goal kicker. Didn't sound like the contact was great.
Holding, put Adelaide.
That's ridiculous.
That's a free kick against.
Yeah. It's thrown out of the way. Very nice. I'm surprised that kick though from Gunston. So unless it was a set play, you're going to drop it 15 metres out from goal. He had players one-on-one ahead of the ball.
Let's just give us
Yeah,
taking hold like that.
Shocking. That's senior player too.
There's
Very
Eric
nice.
Morrison. Race, kick deposits out and half back. Battle. Drew. Butters. Kicked it quickly, but he knew where he was kicking it to. And who in Horn-Francis. Hardwick prepared to wear the contact he always is. But again, Port prevail. And that's probably about all he could do. And the free's going Hawthorn's way with 2:41 on the clock.
Sam Mitchell got an old-fashioned spraying at half-time.
Oh, absolutely. I reckon they would have caught one at quarter time. He might not have much left in the tank to give one at half time.
Bergman's gone down to the rooms there. And he might have, but chose not to. Berry is the sub tonight. Joe Berry will be playing game number 5.
I mean, you just can't see a clear way in which Hawthorn can move the ball.
I think more A plus than B, to be honest, but
Well, we wondered if they had a plan B, and they've shown it tonight.
They just haven't been allowed to.
Hawks need more than one small step. They're going to need huge leaps in the second half. Butters again at the source. Rosie Mead tumbles it forward. Boat clean gather. And Rosie's on the follow-up. And they get inside 50. Georgiades is a bit wide for him.
But I think Rosie will be going back to the midfield, Brownie.
No, I don't think so. The senior players have been brilliant tonight.
Yeah.
Horton-Francis, Butters, Rosie. They've led from the front. Drew's done a good job. So those guys around the ball, we know Rosie started half back, but their leaders, senior leaders have stood up. That's what Kenny Hinkley would be most happiest about.
That was the real Kenny, not the fake Kenny there, wasn't it?
Nice. Rioli straight through the stoppage, untouched. It's curling that won't quite do enough. One goal, one for Willie.
10 scoring shots for the quarter. Sorry, Hano.
That's right. Yeah,
10
19
scoring shots.
scores
Yep.
to 3.
Yep.
Kick his boundary side, better from Morrison that time. Wanted to keep it moving. Good call, Weddle. Just gliding along, and he's angled it to Gunston. It seems to be about the only channel at the moment that's working for Hawthorn.
We just saw the distance that he couldn't cover before, so he needs to find a different one, have a better method.
Sicily's back in the square. Meek is also a presence.
He'll be on high alert if you can put Adelaide defence.
They've done everything right so far in this game, Port Adelaide. Gunston shows enormous self-confidence, but he can kick it 50 metres. And you know what? He can. He was right. He still has Hawthorn's entire goal total. That is a meagre 2, but at least there is something on the scoreboard and something to work with perhaps from here on in.
My apologies to Jack Gunston, hello. It might just not have hit his foot, that last one that he took. But this is the play that they haven't been able to get. The handball receive in between the arcs, the handball to Weddle, and they had a spare foot of the ball. So Lear and Lear on that occasion had to choose between the two players. And the Weddle kick on the outside of the boot went to Jack Gunston. In a rare play for Hawthorn so far in the first half.
Sean Burgoyne.
Yeah, Connor Nash's come off and he's getting his arm looked at by the doctor and the physio. So he's one of the players who can put a shutdown roll on Butters or Horn Francis or Rosie. So he's the one they probably can't afford to lose in the midfield. And the sub Luke Bruce is warming up now too.
A minute and 12.
So still got some influence in Hawthorn by the sound of it.
He's got a foot in both camps.
65-point margin. Sweet. Clean, then ended up just tossing it up in the air. McKenzie, a bit of evasive action from Moore to try to set the Hawks up. Too strong for Watson, who lit up underneath it, thrown in. 6 goals to 1 in each of the first 2 quarters. Hawks just striving for one more.
Holding Hawthorn.
And they might get a chance through there, I think. So we can kick it a long way. 3 goals this season, 17 in his career. Fist full of tots. The drag on the jumper. Lloyd Meat has had his colours lowered through the first half. Looking to strike a blow. It's got a bit to do, and it does. So the Hawks for the last couple. At least something to lift what looked like bedraggled spirits. They're down by 59.
It just gives them some positive energy coming into half-time in what has been a really disappointing first half. You can just see there the jumper hold. Very rarely the umpires miss those ones. So 2 really important, difficult shots by Gunston and Lloyd Meek on the eve of half-time. You see there in the box, Connor Nash getting his wrist assessed. So a little win before half-time for the Hawthorn going in. 13 seconds left. They have a mountain to climb.
Back to 59. No margin for error. They want to add another one. Kenzie to Ward. Richards slows them. Jaff to Amon. Hawthorn kicks the last 2 goals, but Ken Hinkley could scarcely have thought that his team would be able to produce anything like this when he came to the game here tonight, Jerry.
20 for Zach Butters, who's led the way. Rosie's had 16, Horn Francis 14. And, I mean, some of the key protagonists on the other side have been unsighted. Ginnivan and Watson just haven't been part of the fray at all.
A lot to take in, and our experts will give their best analysis when we come back. A huge shock on the cards at Gather Round, the final night of what has been an incredible weekend in Adelaide. And the biggest surprise, it appears, has come at the last.
All right, folks. Port Adelaide continue on their merry way. I tell you what, they were pretty much unstoppable in that second term again. 6 goals for Port Adelaide. Hawks kicking 2 late goals. 12-7-79, the Hawks. 3-2, 20. The margin, they say the margin got out to 70 points. That is a record. 69 was the highest ever comeback from a team in AFL football. So if Hawthorn end up winning this game, it'll be the biggest winning margin in AFL history to come back from a margin that far behind to get up and win. Tell you what, I don't know how they're going to stop Port Adelaide, though. They just looked on fire. 59 points. You know, it's a big margin. It's a big margin. It can be done. It can be done, but they've got to beat the record books to do it in this game this evening. That is for sure. So welcome in Adrian Sports Channel. How you going, Eddie G? And of course, Sheila May. Chia, mega love shout out to you. Thanks for dropping on in. The game is now already over. I tell you what, some would say it's as good as over, but there is still a lot of football left to play. Still a half a game to come. And of course, Kai, good to see the Hawks are getting what they deserve. To tell you what, it's I think it's good for the rest of the competition. We don't always like to see one team just dominate early and get away. That's good for the Hawthorn supporters, of course, but for the rest of the competition, we like to see it tight, exciting. So this is great for football, I think. That Port Adelaide are having a good win. Of course, Ken Hinkley, the coach of Port Adelaide, has been under so much pressure. The Wolves have been out for him, chasing him. It's good to see his boys doing a good job there tonight. Of course, the final game of Gather Round here this evening. What's been a fantastic event, Gather Round. All teams playing in Adelaide, of course, at the Barossa, Adelaide Oval, Norwood Oval. It's been a spectacle to say, and I think it's definitely paid dividends. I think teams will be looking forward to be going back there next year. I just wonder if they're going to if they can actually fit 2 Gather Rounds in, maybe one Port Adelaide. Maybe they could do one in Perth or Brisbane or Sydney as well next year to make 2. That wouldn't be too bad. I think it's pretty good. They might be able to do that up in Brisbane. Brisbane's got a couple of good grounds. Sydney's got a couple of grounds. Perth's got a couple of good stadiums as well. That'll be interesting to see. But Adelaide, they've done it well. All right, let's go and have a look now. Just those playing the AFL fantasy points game. Connor Rose's leading the way on 70 points. Zach Butter 60. Jordan Sweet 57, and the rest under. We'll come to back and have a look at the goal scorers in just a moment. Commentators are back. They'll give us a little bit of a thoughts on the opening half, so it's not too far away before they are back, and we'll get a little bit of description on their thoughts, and they'll probably give their thoughts whether they think Hawthorn are any type of chance of coming back. I think one good thing for Hawthorn, though, I've seen this margin being pegged back in a half before. It's just probably lucky Hawthorn got those 2 late goals in that second quarter. Whew. I didn't believe it. It got out to 70 points. Who would ever thought 70 points the Hawthorn would trail by? There we go. But so far, folks, it's been a fantastic round of football gather around. Of course, Geelong beating Adelaide, Collingwood beating Sydney, Gold Coast Suns beating North Melbourne. Carlton finally had a win over West Coast. The Brisbane Lions too strong for the Western Bulldogs. Essendon winners last night over Melbourne, and of course today Fremantle too strong for Richmond. The Giants winning over St Kilda by 28 points, and of course tonight the final game of Gather Round round 5. Port Adelaide, Hawthorn over there in Adelaide Oval. It was a hot day over in Adelaide today, probably up around 32. So she was pretty hot for players and all. I haven't heard the temperature at the moment over there. It's got to be sitting around 24. So it's still a pretty mild, pretty warm evening. But yeah, that's all right. We'll get back to a little bit of football action.
From behind, a touch of brilliance. 39 points down. Brisbane do a job on the Dogs. Fantastic crowd. They have packed this place out towards the Bombers. Just the 1 win, and the D still trying to find their first 4 points. Hugs the boundary. Oh, Draper! Brilliant build-up. The hands were great, and Redmond's kick is spectacular. Essendon put their rough start to the season behind them.
It's the gateway to the Barossa Valley, surrounded by rolling hills, the best wine in the land. We've got the best footy players in the land.
Frederick, a play on foot, gets a few bodies out of the way and kicks it over returning.
Lindsay, welcome to Adelaide. We've turned it on for you.
Oh man, how good's this? Gather Round has been and just take us to another level with this.
Here is the package for the Giants. Guernsey, that's his first in those colours.
He's gonna do it tonight. Get it.
Let the hostilities resume to finish gather round. Port Adelaide and Hawthorn.
So 4v1 Roxy is there as well. The captains.
Now Pepper. They have electrified the gather round crowd.
Gather round, it has delivered all week and it continues to tonight. Extraordinary scenes we are witnessing in the main event of Gather Round. Port Adelaide have absolutely smashed Hawthorn in the first half of this much anticipated rematch. A 31-point quarter time lead to Port has ballooned out to 59. Jonathan Brown, Jordan Lewis, how stunned are you by what we've just witnessed?
Oh, I think everyone here is stunned. I think the thing with Hawthorn, last year, whenever they came into a big match, a big crowd, they really stood up and maybe kept the critics. Today has just been record numbers across the board. It's surprising. You can see the disappointment on Sam Mitchell's face. He's surprised as well.
What's gone wrong?
It's hard. I think there's so much going wrong that you cannot fix one part of their game. I don't know whether they bought into the emotion too much. I think Port Adelaide may have sat back and just let it all happen, but they have got winners across the field.
I think they've coached really well from the get-go. So Connor Rosey, surprising move, wasn't it, Kath? Starts at half-back, the captain of the footy club. Just been struggling a little bit. He's been awesome tonight. You know, you just look at his highlights. So yes, playing as a half-back, and as we know, the modern game, these attacking half-backs more often than not, they play close to their fourth, fifth, their defensive 50. He's been outstanding. He's been able to kick the 2 goals, and I think too also the other senior players have been outstanding. Butters 20 disposals, 7 clearances. Horn Francis had a huge second quarter. Drew's done a good job on Newcombe. So you just sort of see there, being able to hit the scoreboard has had Hawthorn on the back foot, Jordan.
Yeah, he wouldn't have anticipated in Rosey how much space he's had tonight, and I think that's been a byproduct of the dominance that Port Adelaide have had in the midfield, which has drawn the high half forwards up from Hawthorn, which has allowed him to be spared behind the ball.
Yeah, Rosie and Butters, the 2 highest rated players on the field at the moment. You wanted to look, though, at Rosie's positioning.
Look at him, so he's half-back. Look how high, you know, it's caught Hawthorn. Just got prepared for this situation, obviously, and they were under pressure, Hawthorn, so they're getting caught. They were beast to the honey pot, getting sucked in, so they had no coverage on the outside. That allowed Rosie and some of the other high half-backs to get involved. We saw Bergman Kier go as well. Look how high he is. Yes, he readjusts when the ball's going back towards the opposition goals, but quickly he gets himself set. That kick inside is clearly a set play. Get it back inside, get it to those attacking half-backers, and they're good enough to finish.
This is a position that he hasn't played before. So to look at that, you would expect him to be 150 game half-back, the way that he's positioned himself so smartly.
You look at the numbers, I mean, contested possessions, plus 22, Port Adelaide. Pressure kind of evened out in the end, but I think the main, the telling stat at half-time is ground balls.
Ground balls, Kath, yeah. So every time, even though there was outnumbers sometimes from Hawthorn, Port Adelaide were so good at just being able to win that critical ground ball, keep the ball flicking along and then get it out into space. I think that's what Sam Mitchell will be most disappointed with.
There's so many record numbers across the board, and that is one in terms of the first half. Points from turnover is another. I think one of the other matchups tonight, and it was evident early, was Powell Pepper and James Sicily. Powell Pepper wanted to attack him physically, but also play back shoulder. So this is where a zone-off defender does not want to go. In that instance, you cannot hand over. He is your direct opponent. You do not let him go to the ball with that much space and hang back. And this is embarrassing for James Sicily, to be honest, because your direct opponent who has had a really influential night on you, you allow him to go and then he kicks the ball straight back over your head. That's just not good enough for the captain.
What do you think Sam Mitchell would be saying right now?
Oh, it'd be filthy, but once again, he would trust his players to try and fight out the second half. So that will be the challenge. You can change positions around, but I think right now he needs to back in his players in the positions that they've started the game with and see what type of fight they've got.
Well, these Port Adelaide fans on the hill are pretty happy right now, aren't they, Brownie? It's been a great gather-round experience all around, particularly support from Toyota. They've made it all worthwhile.
Absolutely. The BZ4X just down there yesterday. The battery electric vehicle now. I think Sam Mitchell might need that battery to just fire up his troops. Look at that. The 6 been unbelievable anyway. So there you go. There's my ride home after the game's been done tonight. Going to drive back to Warrnambool and see the old man
Make
for
sure
Easter.
she's charged though.
That's right.
Well, I like inside. Looks pretty spiffy.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful. You'd be happy driving that around. Look at the little skip on the way out. That's how happy I am with it, Kath.
All the actors around Australia are not worried.
We win an Oscar on that.
It really turned it off the Toyota. Let's head down to ground level. John Ralph joins us. Ralphie, how good was footy in the Barossa?
Just unbelievable. When has the Barossa not delivered? The perfect backdrop to today's and the weekend's games, and it's the perfect addition to the gather round calendar. Now, as Sarah Jones told us, clubs like St Kilda, they're lobbying not to play at the Adelaide Oval. They want to play at the Barossa next year. Now, the setback for the Dockers from a 61-point defeat of Richmond was the weekend hamstring injury to Nat 5. Now, a lot of talk about retirement. Now, Justin Longmuir said, no, he's not retiring. We actually thought about playing him this week in the seniors. They didn't do it in the end, and they might have hoped so after that. It's probably a 3-week hamstring, but he says he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Richmond hit the wall after the half. Tom Lynch lasted 3 quarters, then was subbed out with a corky. Adam Uze says the club will consider how Noah Bolter pulls up from his VFL contest today. He wants him to get back into the senior team. I think it's very likely, even if Lynch gets up from that corky, they're very keen to play him against the Gold Coast. Now, for Fremantle, Patrick Voss will likely miss next week against the Demons with this swing tackle. Doesn't look great there. It looks worse in the replay there. Vlosten dodged concussion. I just think he lacked duty of care there. So some decisions ahead on his replacement and what they do with Noah Bolter for the Tigers, Kath.
Fair bit of fallout, Ralphie, to Melbourne's loss to Essendon last night. How's Stephen May?
Well, the positivity's put up quite well from that plantar fascia issue. It looked like he was going for all money, limped off the ground and then came back, and it was revealed by Simon Goodwin post-match he had been dealing with it for some weeks. So, of course, Jake Lever out for a couple of months. Doesn't get easier for them. Josh Tracy next week. Doesn't get easier for Simon Goodwin. Now, his president in Brad Green has told the Herald Sun today the only way forward is to back him in, and so they will certainly do that. A CEO to be announced in a couple of weeks there, but you think it's getting very desperate. Time for a win against Fremantle, or all will be lost for Simon Goodwin in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they've got a fair bit on their plate at the D's, don't they? Thank you, Ralphie. Well, look at our NAB Oz kickers. They are absolutely loving it right now because it's a sold-out Adelaide Oval, the main event, and they are the main event right now. How good to see the smiles on their faces. Make sure to get involved in NAB Oz Kick if you haven't already. Keep Fox on all night, though, because from midnight Eastern time, the final round of the Masters gets underway right here on Fox.
And then digging deeper with all that we've seen on field. Nathan Buckley, Jordan Lewis, Jonathan Brown and Jack Revold on the couch. To the third quarter we turn. Port Adelaide's lead a stunning 59 points. And Silk, you called for action from the coach. Have we seen any movement on the subfront?
Well, Miles Bergman had his left leg looked at by the doctor, and he's got some strapping in that left knee, so he's obviously going to try and push through that. It's unclear yet if Hawthorn have activated their sub with Luke Bruce, but I'll keep a close eye on it.
Thank you to Sean Burgoyne as we get ready for the third quarter here. I wonder what words have been spoken during the halftime break and even now.
Yeah, I wonder how confronting it would have been. So Chris Fagan clearly went with you're playing to capacity stand up at half time. It looked like a degree of soul searching in the view we got from the Hawthorn rooms. There's a lot to play for as Port Adelaide could get right away from him in these circumstances. That stunning game against Sydney comes to mind in what we've seen. On the way to Easter Monday against Geelong as the Hawks, well, they've got their 2 goals at the end of the half, so they've got to get to work and solve some of these issues. The tactical battle within the game, Rosie off half back.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've come here unbeaten, but Sam Mitchell, and their margins haven't been big, as we know, 20, 26, 20 and 12. The margins hasn't been big, and Sam Mitchell has been trying to convince everyone that they haven't actually been playing that well, but we're seeing the evidence clearly tonight. But, Sean, you have an update for us?
Yeah, I have. On second look, Luke Bruce has been subbed into the game, and Connor Nash has been subbed out.
All right, so they've made the change. Seems like it's forced with Connor Nash more than anything else, but their issue is getting the ball in there in the first place. So what will the change as we head into this third term? Will the break make a difference? Hawthorn did kick the last 2 goals of the first half, but it is a huge mountain to climb. Meek goes after it. Beat them to the footy. Burgoyne, though, matches from the other side. Brownie and Jordan scouring to see if there's any other tactical moves.
Looks like McGuinness gone directly to Butters. Off the half forward flank.
Just tunnelled it out, but it's gone to Rosie and then to Jones to half forward, went left, but it got too tall for him. And over the line away from Lord.
So Butters enormous. First half, 20 disposals, 7 clearances. Came out final. Really good game last week. It was inspirational in the final last year with, I think he had broken ribs, did he?
Yeah.
So he came in. We know he's tough. Looks like McGuinness is going to watch him.
Sweet, straight down the throat of Impey. His kick is curling to Burgoyne, who couldn't quite secure it. Will that invigorate the Hawks? This man will. Watson, before he stumbled, got the handball away. They are a little unsteady on their feet. Everything is slowed down. Sicily back to Watson, so eventually it's D'Ambrosio's kick. Was there for the cutting off. Couldn't quite do it through Farrell, so Lear comes out. Feeding it to Moraes, and then off the kick goes. Mead's kick to a one-on-one. Lord is able to topple over Barris. And then back on the left boot. Battle just chipping into space. Ward had Richards in his face. Clap, clap, but got the handball away. Battle trying to get it back through the middle. Thought better of it. And so it's Ward's left foot. It takes them towards half forward without much conviction. Gunston knows how to get to the right places. Child hasn't been a factor yet, but gets displaced easily.
Well, intercept marks, 12-6 now. Port Adelaide's favour, the intercept marks, Geordie.
He had a really strong position too, Joel. And just let Alira lead back into it. It always seems Hawthorn are reluctant to kick the ball forward because they are losing those one-on-one contests forward of the ball.
Bergman has shaken off his ailments. Ruckman went to work. Newcomb underneath. Moore found a way. Up the side to Ward. Tosses it up again. So Alir and Sicily. Sicily made good position to Mark. Watson underneath. Dragged down by Rosie. Released it. Brewster's into the fray. Bergman sees him off. It's tipped out over the boundary for throw.
Watson trying to get involved. Had a quiet first half, only 3 disposals. Getting up around the ball now.
The Hawks have kicked the last 2 in the game. Meek propels it forwards. Bush trying to get a look at it. Sweet holds them at bay. Held up by Warpool. Couldn't quite figure the angles out.
And even that handpass to Gunston was a tough kick by Warple. Uncharacteristic by Hawthorn, just not to have that extra handball in their game. It's all brought about because of the pressure the Port were able to apply in the first half.
National spectators, we said now for the second half. Easy passage out for Farrell to bounce and kick. Georgiades, that natural leaper. Slight misjudgment, so now he has to win it at ground level, no problem. Alier feeding it back to Butters. His eyes were up immediately to Mead. And again, they're going to access the centre square by going around more than anything. Moraes, who's got pace, he can run all day. Guides it to Drew. And again, in cover they get to half forward to Lord. Rioli, having a good offering. And was reluctant. The handball instead to Richards. Started the whole thing. Georgiades got off his man, got the separation to D'Ambrosio, like good wingers do.
Yeah.
Yeah, floated back well there. Like you said, as good wingers do. It's not the tallest winger, but good in the air. Near that mark as Georgiades was about to pluck it.
Got to go now. D'Ambrosio off the last line. Gunston's his target. Bergman wears him close. Gunston doing ever so well. Guides it forwards. Drew got in the way. Down passes it away. Richards on the build. Bergman with a chance to put it deep. Has he given him a look? I don't think so. Georgiades has got there right on the behind line.
Yeah, I think the behind line saved Hawthorn there.
I believe it's behind. We just checked that the whole ball crossed the behind line prior to the mark being completed.
This is the Nash injury, the wrist that he now has.
Review underway.
Ice pack on. So it's a worry just to see how exactly that will pan out. It can't go through the remainder of the night. It does look over in the way that we do
Review
these
complete.
things.
Look at this angle. We'd see the ball's cross the back of the behind line before being marked. Decision on the scoreboard.
A 59-point margin with the minor score.
You can even see here, Jared, as Hawthorn go to kick the ball in, the teasing distance which Port Adelaide have, they are right on their men. Ward will break free here, so that's the kick you've got to take. Just take 25 metres, but they are tight defensively, Port Adelaide.
Change in direction from Amon to Walker. Little give back to Amon, who powers on. Suddenly they're at half forward, and again Gunston is the most likely target. Assistance from the umpire this time for the push.
Yeah, they have. Charles been a non-factor. Sicily went forward late in the second quarter. He's forward now.
Newcomb is deep alongside the captain. The ball is pulled in that direction, but predicted by Bergman.
Behind the mark, please.
He's got to match up on Sicily.
Time back on. Stand.
Okay. Twice as many intercept marks. Port happy to just leave this game in a stalemate for a little while. Such is the size of their lead. Can Hawthorn generate some enthusiasm? Not with entries like that from Morrison. Easy fodder for an inexperienced defender like Rosie.
He's enjoying his time at half-back, hello.
Yeah.
And they're away again.
See here, sets him up for Drew with the flight. Came more ground ball to be won. D'Ambrosio closes, committed himself, has support from Amon, checks it up inboards. Newcomb bites off the kick inside the 50 and does it well, and Ginnivan arrives at last.
It was a really clever kick. I think Morrison was further out. He sold that to Alier, and Alier just hesitated, thought that Newcomb was going to Morrison.
It was good, wasn't it? Yeah, smart play.
Gentlemen, out! Out! Joe!
Jack Ginnivan gathered round last year. The closing event was his first match against his old club. Ginnivan gives it all he's got, much to the joy of the locals. That is not going to be it. No score at all.
You've got to know your distance as well. He was clearly not going to get there on that kick, so you've got to try and find a target closer to goal. Play the percentages.
Regulator's kick lands.
Just turned his back to the ball. So this is an important kick. Aliyah's been quite strong in the air. Radically taking the front space of James Sicily. So you have to take those two things into account when you're going inside forward 50.
Meek goes for a three-quarter number, and there's the marking ability of Newcomb. as a midfielder that can go forward and be viable.
Yeah, floated forward. Had a good battle with him and Drew. He came up with 16 disposals now. As he said, I can float forward and needs this desperately. Just see it in play, so he just finds that hole. Drew was caught out in the 50 near Warfield.
Willie kicked the last two of the second quarter. And the responsibility on the broad shoulders of John Newcomb is a little closer than Ginnivan. So it's imminently gettable. He kicks truly, and the Hawks have kicked 3 in a row. And it's back to 53. Still a huge margin, but if they want to build a case, they've at least got one.
Yeah, but they're winning the territory battle at the moment, aren't they? So around the ball where they were challenged in the first half, they were really embarrassed in that particular part of the ground. They've started to win that. So you just see there, that's the space that they create. And on the left-hand side, Alir and Radically are taken out of that contest when you go inside 450. So it's a risky kick. You bring the ball back in, it's a shallow entry. You give Port Adelaide a chance to maybe rebound the ball if they turn that over. But that is where your opportunity lies.
His third goal of the season.
Right back into the middle of the grounds. And Butters is by his side. 53-point margin. So the ripple of excitement might build to something more. Newcomb's on the job right there. And that's going to result in a shot of goal. Shoal might be a fraction too far out. Still trying to caress it for Sicily. So 3 might be about to become 4.
Yeah, well done by Joel there. Saw Sicily's at 1-1 against Bergman. Favourable matchup. Just gave him a 60-40 advantage. It's all that was needed. Good flat pass as well. Charles had a very quiet night. That's his contribution.
Port exploited Sicily as a defender. And they might get wounded as he moves forward. And that murmur builds. 47 points.
Geordie used to be the coalface. Very simple game, isn't it? You start winning clearance, start winning contest, start winning the territory battle, all of a sudden you hit the scoreboard. That's been the major turnaround. Won 5 of the last 6 clearances. Hawthorn, here's the late one. Not a huge amount in it, but it's there just to play the downfield. Anyway, they make the most of it.
You see there the isolation that Sicily gets with Bergman.
Really good.
Yeah, great kick, as you said.
Forwards to separate two from him.
Good to the advantage of James Sicily. So it's a little period where they've been on top in the middle of the ground and around clearances, Hawthorn.
+8 contested possession. They were smacked in that start in the first half.
The Port fans maybe just sensing that something is brewing. They try and respond, see what their heroes can do. Newcomb feeding it back. Let's kick shut down. Tackles away. Weddle. Hawthorn on the move again. Jones left it behind. Moore. Alir. Charles starting to make a stronger contribution. He's not sitting quite as comfortably as he was. The ruck wrestle. And the follower, Rosie and Butters. The leaders go to work to Drew. Well spotted by Georgiani. He's realised it wasn't going to reach the target. Had the coalface through again, generates the fancy hands through Cochrane. And then Powell Pepper, another big torpy to full forward. The wrestle is on. Lord. Just does enough.
So Port need to set up now well. They scored 59 points in their front half. In the first half, this area of the ground that they dominated Hawthorn.
So you look at Rioli, don't you? Hardwick on Rioli, they're hovering around that matchup. They might provide a block to give him a bit of separation.
And Francis is going to come from a little way off. He's the defensive side of it. Secondary tap out in front of Burger and with the soccer. Good Lord! He's popped up in the square. And a bit of afters in it as tempers start to fray. The passion might suit Port to re-inject it. They'll just need a goal every now and then. Hawks 53 points.
Well, I think the question, Jared, is why did Burgoyne have so much space as well? You can just see there, top of the screen, Morrison just lets him go.
Three goals for 450 stoppages there, Geordie.
Yeah, he gets first go at it. It has been an issue for Hawthorn, 450 goals. Been a real issue.
Why is that?
Well, he just lapsed in concentration. You just see there, Burgoyne should have kicked it off the ground. Then Ollie Lord has time to pick the ball up and snap it over his shoulder. All you need is half a metre and make them pay.
So looks like Joe Berry's warming up down there. Have you got any news from a Port Adelaide point of view?
Yeah, well, Bergman's come off again and getting looked at by the doctor and physio, which has triggered Joe Berry to do an extra warm-up. So wait and see on that one.
Drew gets brought forward again. Rioli came with the footy.
A good few minutes, Drew.
Again, he heads forward in the pocket. And he hangs on.
He's just getting really good separation at the moment, Ollie Lord, on Tom Barras.
Come back into the side last week, kicked 3 goals.
Disrupted start to the season and picked really not on much form at all, but the future looks so much brighter. He showed in his early days what he could do, kicked a big bag in a final against Brisbane, a losing team, kicked 4. Put 3 through last week. That's not going to make the distance, but the ball is still very much alive. Interesting method from Jack to try and get it through from behind. It's a successful one. He's been doing the knee lifts now, Joe Berry. It's like a full roll your arm over as this.
He'll be well warmed up.
Amon twirls the foot in his hands. Meanders out, still searching for the right targets. Distance for Sicily. Dragged out of it. I saw that. It's a little drag of the arm from Renigalea. Sicily's got the inboard kick, but he goes for the outboard run. Weddle provides up inside the 50. McInnes was trying to get a run at it. He might be there for the ground level ball. Got himself out of the bind, but missed Ward. They go back to work. McInnes just couldn't quite get it away one way or the other. McKenzie committed himself. Drew's controlling things though underneath though. That's a difference. Francis out the power pepper.
Yeah, first handball was behind the Hawthorn player that they were trying to go to. Just so clean, Horn Francis.
To the next contest, Georgiades jabbed from the sides. Nicely. Good luck.
Cover the corridor well here. They're trying to look for more of the uncontested marks this quarter. Hawthorn, they're now up to 12 uncontested marks. They're lucky to take 12 in the whole second quarter.
They're going nowhere here. They are. They creep backwards, bit of jogging on the spot, a little handoff. Now Barris places it for Gunston.
Port Adelaide have come over to block up the corridor. They haven't allowed Hawthorn inside.
Almost where it started, that phase of play, but that's better, more constructive. Luke Burst. Hawthorn fans just have enough belief to give him a cheer as the kick went down the line. Get him a bit disorientated for a moment. No, says the umpire. Good ball out. So 54 points, still the margin. The first half of the quarter yielding 3 goals, 2-1 in favour of the Hawks. Berry fully warmed up. It looks like he's not far away from being inserted. It's going to war. Takes it quick. Haven't we seen some examples of why it's very hard to build a case for Hawthorn cutting the margin in the last 5 minutes.
He's had a pretty good season, Josh Ward. Just tonight, just a few skill execution errors. I mean, he hasn't been alone, mind you, but that is a kick that they usually hit Hawthorn.
It's a bit ordinary, not the kick.
Yeah, the signs were there early.
Travis Boak up to the contest on the wing and winds with all manner of contact to take the contested mark and sends Butters on his way. He's got a few choices. Horn Francis the best of them. Rioli wants it short. Georgiades wants it in deep. It's just going to have to be a patient kick to the side for Wines.
Ollie Lord making his way down to create an option forward.
Wines has gone for Horn Francis, who doubled up. Heavy collision with Weddle coming the other way. Neither flinched. Two rough nuts.
No, he's made a few good decisions tonight, when to come forward and when to stay back. That was a great contest by both players.
A couple of young stars there for their respective teams.
Ford still at half forward. Wines and Weddle go to work in the ruck. McKenzie first access at the back. Hand pass to Ginnivan, worked it around. D'Ambrosio wants the overlap run. Impey is herring out of half back to be that. Morrison was the one over the top. He took too long to give it Impey. Rioli's a chance to offload Morrison. He did well to keep his nerve. At the forward momentum hold to D'Ambrosio. Placed the kick, spoils are made. Butters, Wines, and breaking clear Farrell. Off to Burgoyne, good looking build. Rumbling out as Lord, then he takes the mark.
Just another example of Hawthorn being unable to move the ball from money on the ground to the other, Geordie. Hasn't been a strength all season, to be honest, and they've really struggled tonight. It's been a combination of the pressure of Port Adelaide, but also the poor decision-making and execution by the Hawthorn players coming into half-back.
With Marshall out for the bulk of the season, it's critical for Lord. Gives him the opportunity that perhaps he's being starved of. A look at a second goal in the turn. It's dragged.
I think the other thing, Brown, is Port Adelaide have disallowed them to use numbers around the ball, which has meant Hawthorn have kicked a lot, which means the gap between the contest that they're kicking to and where the kick came from, there's a lot of transition space that Port Adelaide have really utilised.
Weddle heeds the umpire's instructions down the line. Ginnivan an unlikely target in the centre circles. So it's Farrell and Butters. And they look to construct again. Cochrane's kick up towards the front of goal, reaching for a Georgiades, bit of a blind handball, hoping that someone like Horn Francis could get hold of it. Morrison begs to differ. D'Ambrosio. Eventually battle put in the safe hands of Walker. He bangs it up again. Boak will think he's a chance here to deny Ginnivan. Hurdling through was Rosie. Uses Sin. Big leap from Horn Francis. And he's close. Complete the deal. He took a ripper last week.
I'm watching Paddy Dangerfield on Thursday night. The big brute hits it out forward.
He's a bit of a prototype, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's just going forward now while he's resting.
55-point margin. All have had a sustained period of attack. And the studies are in the ruck again. Weddle wins the ground ball after the initial tap. Takes the territory up the line. Legally gets rid of Sicily legally this time.
Another intercept mark. 16th now to Port Adelaide on the 8th Hawthorn.
There was always the outlets. Switches on through Burgoyne if he wants it. He doesn't want it. So half back to half forward instead. The wide out kick set Boak the task. Watson folded back. Disrupted the play.
Zach Butters and Connor Rosie, the superstars on the ground. Andrew Dillon and the AFL could hardly have hoped for a better gather round. The weather played its part. Probably if anything, but the closeness of the football has been the only problem in some of the games. But the storylines everywhere. Again, a massive crowd. And the Port fans certainly aren't complaining at the moment. They lead by 55 points. Pokey kick from Warport is okay. Sicily stands just to kick it a bit out.
Gunston's the only player for Hawthorn who's hit this way out of the
Joel is the tall. So is Gunston. Both there. He was unattended. Didn't take the mark. McKenzie in the perfect place to snap. Gunston after an initial fumble. If anyone's going to know their way around the sticks, it's Jack Gunston. And he's done it 3 times tonight.
It's a good call, Brownie. He just hasn't been outmarked, whereas I think a few of the other forwards for Hawthorn, where they've fallen down, they've been outmarked. Create a contest forward of the ball and was able to re-engage inside the forward 50 and get another couple of opportunities. You just see there, just slips in behind Sin and no body contact. Should have taken that one, which was a relatively easy mark. So they've been a little bit better this quarter, Hawthorn. They've been better in the contest. They've given themselves opportunities going inside forward 50.
It's amazing you dropped that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, they actually won the contest, plus 16 contested possession after being minus 20 in the first half. That's that. Better at ground ball.
So even that goal, it took 3 goes at
Yeah,
it.
it looks hard. Yeah.
3 goals to 1 Hawthorn's way in this term. That means 5 of the past 6 to the brown and gold. Whitman lean into each other, Butters on the fly. Horn Francis sends it in for Georgiades. Smooth.
Oh, it's 50.
And right to the line to make the certainty of it.
It's 2 single free kicks Morrison's given away.
They get into it. Well, the goal has been kicked. The immediate answer. Georgiades has 3. Fighters going to fight back.
Starting positions.
It's what we came for at the start. It all feels a bit academic right now. Just writing checks for a lost cause. Zach Butters wants none of that tonight.
No, my car. We've got to get in there and have a scrap.
On the fly, beautiful clearance there. So Zach Butters, he's got the tag from McGuinness after half time, and McGuinness is starting at half forward flank, so that's the one opportunity. Doesn't have a man on him. He just charged through on the fly. There it is.
It's as good as you get out of the centre bounce.
Port just reminding everyone about the talent they do still have, and Miss Georgiades is certainly one of those. He's good old-fashioned flyer up forward. He's kicked 3 tonight. We know their talent around the ball.
It was good last week. It was good in the semi last year against Hawthorn.
It's back to 55 after Hawthorn had worked so hard for that previous goal. They're hunting out of the middle. Walker got it from Meek to Newcomb. Good sequence. And they're well placed to link for the mark here. Although Lear doing what he does best. Over Bruce.
It's been strong.
Down to you, Sean.
Yeah, Porter made their sub. Berry's coming on and Bergman off. That's been going on for a while now, that warm-up for Berry.
He's had a false moment and ran into a tackle as a result and paid the price. And Watson wants to go. He got hammered by Horn Francis as he got the kick away. It goes across the face. And a little bit in the aftermath. The crowd would be happy for Horn Francis to take a piece of Watson. See what happened.
It all feels like a bit of a phony war, doesn't it? But
A good photo nonetheless.
yeah,
Thrown in. So Mick's going to get another shot at goal. From the ruck in the first mix.
there's so much time still left in the game to do a few silly things too.
Everybody's watching.
Butters is right at it with McGuinness. Just seeing the background there.
Lloyd Meek kicked the tough shot heading to half-time. It's a much more straightforward assignment. Meek for his second. Drives it home. And straight back into the Nigel and Agro. Bounces out of it. 4 minutes to go in this term, a term that Hawthorn has had the better of, but they are still 48 points the wrong side of it.
Absolutely, contest and clearance. That's where they've been able to turn things around. So 10-5 the clearance number. This quarter been able to win it out of centre bounce. Get the territory, 12-9 the inside 50 count. A lot happening there. And they'll be good enough to go out and kick the goal. So again, can they finish powerfully these last few minutes before three-quarter time, just to give them some momentum going into the last quarter?
Well, 48 points feels like a bridge too far, but 2 more goals in the time remaining might change the feel and the numbers significantly.
So we've just got to watch Butters on the fly.
Newcomb is on that watching brief, but he's also had half an eye on the ball, has more as his ability, does draw a free, and he takes one in the middle. Had the choice to go short or long, and he somewhere in between on the angle kick to Whittle, and now Newcomb's going to get some opposition from behind, but he's strong as a bull, and he takes the mark. quickly to battle. It gives it plenty to the goal square. No one can really rise high. Lear with a juggle. Fed out to Gunston by Meek. Disrupted play, and it's through from behind, much to the frustration of James Sicily.
There's been better this quarter at Newcombe. He's well held in the first half by Willem Drew.
He's trying to get forward as well. Doing more has gone into the centre. More, still more, yeah. Sort of late in the second quarter. Taking McKenzie away from there.
It's not a great kick in, and Newcombe was always favoured by it. So straight back in. See what the Hawks have got in the air. Rosie across the front was having none of it. And kick to kick. First half just electrifying from the Port Adelaide captain. Ball going to find the target on the way out again. Keeps his powder dry as he plays it to Farrell, and we're happy to absorb a little.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes to go. All I want to do is probably try and take uncontested marks, just take time out of the clock.
Hawthorn have denied them that, so it has to be long up the line. Harris was trying to get into it. Wines wins the ground ball and give Moraes a chance. Rioli's in a one-on-one with Jack. CJ swats it back, looking for support. Namon is there to provide it. Battle got stuck against the boundary. And that will be... Sam Pepper wasn't terribly convinced that that was the right call.
I think he was lucky Josh Weddle is in the vicinity. You're laughing at hard. Well, you think it was deliberate?
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, they often pay them, don't they? Oh, right up against the line with the handball. Drew fed it through. Moraes put pressure firmly on the shoulders of Mead as they collapse on top. Free kicks this quarter, 8-0 in Hawthorn's favour. So Georgiani's down there is another one for you to keep an eye on, Silk. Spending a bit of time, getting some help down there. Drew muscles his way clear. Rays tumbles it forward. Well done from Impey. They can get a bit of bounce. Weddle to Newcombe. He's going to stroke it across the ground. Hard run from Sicily. Gunston is camped 10 metres behind O'Lear, so it'll take a middleman or two. It's a wobbly number from D'Ambrosio with no control. Rosie mops it up. Back out. He'll be able to win it back to Sicily. And McGuinness, he flipped it up. He's well anticipated by Sin. He was tagged, but he got the handball anyway. And they can move into a slow play as Rioli marked the short kick.
Well, that D'Ambrosio kick, he had Hawthorn runners on the inside. They've just failed to connect with those possessions tonight.
Powell, Pepper and Lord, the two targets, but Barras didn't quite finish it. Barras, so they'll have to hand it up to the umpire instead. Last flurry of the third term. Wines in tight confines. Mead on the quick turn. There's nobody home. It'll pitch and run. That'll be a throw.
So the battle, the Drew Newcombe battle, Geordie. They're both had big quarters. Drew's had 10 disposals. He's had a clearance 6 ground ball against Newcomb's had the 9 disposals. Kicked the goal, a couple of clearances, going head to head.
Will have been able to construct from inside 50 stoppages. Pepper's on the fly. Tap just went behind him. So Drew and Ward go to work. Both. Shoulder the wheel, but Morrison came up with a footy to Ward. Down the line, Sicily's his man. Slips in front to take the mark. The Hawks want to roll and go. Warple was out-positioned by Sin, and he is outnumbered as well. He fought the fight, though, kept it in dispute, and the Hawks get the high free kick.
Free kick goes to Warple. And that's took it to right of the Port Adelaide fans. It feels a look on the face of Rosie. Knew he'd taken it over. But even when they get given an opportunity, they're able to botch it.
They just forced it. Yeah, that was never going to make it to Watson on that occasion. So they've just forced it too much, which has been a credit to Port Adelaide.
The power chant goes around the Adelaide Oval. Dying seconds of the third quarter. Instant kick from Wines, 15, and that was used to Morrison.
15. Go to your right.
Some 15 metres are different to others, it feels like. Siren sounds, a better quarter from Hawthorn. But that's not saying a lot after what they were able to dish up in the first two. They kicked 4 goals to 2. The margin is reduced to 47 at Port Adelaide. It feels like, unless there is a miracle, 30 minutes or so away from a massive win, a massive statement as this gather round comes to its conclusion. A quarter to go, and it's Port by 47. Well, it took till after half-time for Hawthorn to show any fight whatsoever. These are the scenes where I'm thinking we might see to accompany the footy, but Port Adelaide have absolutely dominated from start till midway through that term when Hawthorn started to throw at least a few footy punches. But it feels like the margin is just too great. 47 points at the last, on the way to what would be a famous Port Adelaide win. Let's get down to Sean Burgoyne. Sil?
Well, Miles Burgoyne was subbed out in that third quarter with a left knee injury. We'll track down the contest where he comes in just for a regulation spoil and then grabs at his knee a bit after. He tried to, here we go there, you just go down, looks like a normal marking contest where you come in and just spoil and just slow down. But on the play away, he seems to grab at his knee. He tried to play on him a few times. He went off and on, and then the doctors pulled the pin and subbed him out for Joe Berry. It was a really important play. He obviously kicked that goal in that first quarter and got the halfbacks really flying with Connor Rosie and Kane Farrell. And then when we go on the other side with Hawthorn, this man here, Jack Gunston, he's led the way with the 3 goals. There hasn't been many other bright lights up there. Meek playing in the ruck, kicking 2, and James Sicily kicking 1. Who started in defence? Hawthorn would want more out of their small forwards in this last quarter.
Thank you, Sean. I guess into the future, the return of Lewis and Kelshire here will make a big difference to the Hawks in the bigger picture. And they're missing Will Day tonight. Not that you could say that would make the difference.
He can play forward, though. He can play forward at times. He's got that capability. But, yeah, when the whips are cracking late in the season, they're going to need some better targets ahead of the ball. So, or more targets ahead of the ball. You can't be just relying on Jack Gunston. Charles been very disappointing. They've had to throw Sicily forward late in the second quarter. So, obviously, the contest work needs to improve. That man's gone on to Zach Butters, so starting on a half-forward flank, but rolls up on the Butters after Butters dominated. John Newcomb had a good quarter, but his direct opponent was also pretty handy as well, Will and Drew.
So what about from a character point of view from Hawthorn? We see the margin, unlikely as it is. How important is it for them to put up a better showing still in this last quarter?
Well, it's what the coach would have asked. I mean, that first half was embarrassing, and Sam Mitchell would have been really disappointed. So, yes, they've had a little win in the third term, but it's a big margin to try and peg back.
The final term of Gather Round 3, the advantages weighted heavily in Port Adelaide's favour. Neatly double Hawthorn score. So we get the all clear for this 4th term to commence. Horn Francis was on the fly for it. Newcomb took the yards off the ground. Rosie ducks by Newcomb. All the setups around the stoppage, meticulously done. Blackman kept each other away from it largely. All ever so briefly in motion, but not with any chance of escape. Trying. Horn Francis into the dead end, 3 of them, then triangulated. Lucy at the back. D'Ambrosio was favoured in flight. Pope did enough. Bruce kept it out of his clutches. So the fight goes on. McGuinness Moore. Bruce does break clear. Sets into the teeth of goal for Gunston. Orchard. Gunston at the back. It didn't reach him. Kicked away and through for a rushed behind. 46 points.
Kane Farrell twirling the footy around. Having a full scan. Mead leading hard for the short option. And he uses his powerful left boot to head longer to greener pastures. Adelaide, his 100th game last week, takes the mark.
It's good by Mead, just protecting there from Meek.
Ran past for the hand pass, got turned down for that. Sends it to half forward. He's back on the ground, looks fine, which is good news. Swooping was aimed. Impey stumbling, as the Hawks have tended to do tonight, and that won't make the fans feel much better about a few umpiring calls from a Port Adelaide perspective. A slip led to the free. Hardwick work on an angle all the way back almost to their defensive goal. Barris looks to send it out in a different way, and he's able to identify aim on it, centre half back. He presses the footy just enough to get it to Newcomb. Some front-on contact. And they've got to the centre. The advantage taken. Quick thinking it was. Moore's kick is perfect. And Gunston eases back and takes the mark. And will look to roll around.
Yeah, it's been a rare sight tonight. Hawthorn accessing the corridor.
Impey, aim on Moore. Yeah, on turn that enough. Just being able to fly the ball from under the ground.
They've had to rely on their second oldest player to kick 4 goals, but they have the first of the last.
And like back to within 40 points. Without him, they wouldn't have been within 10 goals. He's been their only winner ahead of the ball. He's been outstanding, made the most of his opportunities, but it's been all too rare from Hawthorn, just moving the ball from one end of the ground to the other. They weren't allowed to just take their time, fine aim on there, and then just kick the moon, pick the right. It's a free kick, and then Moore was good enough to hit against them.
Yeah, right. It's been the corridor that hasn't been easily accessible to Hawthorn through the defence of Port Adelaide. And even that handball received to Dylan Moore, that has been non-existent. So a piece of play that's been rare tonight.
It's 8 goals for Jack Gunston in just 3 games.
No, he's played well.
40 points, sitting out back in the middle of the ground. Ruckman go to work, sweet out the side. Horn Francis brushed his way clear and rebalanced. Handed it off to Butters. Horn Francis kept on charging. Pulls the kick. Cochrane's his tails.
What a kick.
And that's a lovely mark.
I think it was Horn Francis there. He just let a shove off too. Just get out of the way.
Tom Cochrane, third generation footballer in the family. Granddad so well thought of in SANFL circles. Stuart, his dad played for Port North. He does look like his dad, doesn't he? So a big moment in a young man's life who would have dreamt of football the whole way through. Tom Cochrane stabbed at it, drifts it in, and now he can celebrate. He's a fully fledged league footballer now. And don't they love it?
Well, it shows their spirit tonight, their passion. That's indicative of that. Obviously, a run for the young fella, King's first goal. Instant pre-shot routine.
He's just thinking that. Yeah.
It's been able to this. Horn Francis and Dylan Moore just. You can argue that's a free kick.
You reckon? He got away with it there, but
Mate, you're biased though. You're a Hawthorn
but don't take away the difficulty of that. This is a great angle. Look at the angle that Horn Francis is running. Try and defend that inside 50. The lead from Cochrane was probably a dummy lead at the start, just trying to take his direct opponent away from the hot spot. Horn Francis saw him.
Forward stream, that kick across the body. Just wrong foots the defender every time. Not many players are good enough to execute that.
His road to being a league football has had its challenges, but what a popular goal that was. It's been the perfect night for Port Adelaide. The kick goes forward and Burgoyne comes out, just sends it, clearing the immediate danger. Morrison tries to take it to the line. He couldn't because Berry had him in his sights and it went unwhistled. Much to those right in front of us who are standing with their arms wide open. Boom!
They want more, Jared.
I've got it. They only lead by 46 points.
They want more.
They have a reasonable case.
I doubt that is legal disposal.
Ruck's locked up, and then Moore's hands were good. Aim on. Out comes Sicily. 3 Port players created the crush. The hands from Drew to Rosie. Misdirected. Warpert with the forward hands. Ginnivan couldn't wrap his around it. He does the second time. Bruce with his forward craft. Slides it into the pocket. Watson is go. And now he's stopped. Take that off, it's everywhere. It's a no-flight zone.
Definitely not tonight. We haven't seen the flights tonight.
So Port bring it out. There's been many a touring team on the wrong end of that scoreboard. And Hawthorn suffer that fate tonight. 100 up for Port Adelaide. Expansive on the switch. Rosie has a leer on the far side. Keeps it going in that direction for Boak. Burgoyne lends a hand. And back inboard for Sin. Just arrives in the nick of time. Rosie was the short, but the more attacking option was to go for Butters. It's about correcting the angle, stays up the line. Sweep at full stretch. Bang it up inside the 50. See what Georgiades can make of it. Cleared the way all right. Didn't quite time the retrieval.
Lloyd Jordan.
Huge numbers from Port Stars there. Rosie and Butters, Joe Richards, he got things started.
Yeah, it was huge early, wasn't it? 2 goals in the first quarter, Hutto.
All had players going either direction, but neither of them could take the footy with them. Instead, it's Hawthorn. Cholwell up the ground to Watson. Turns it inside out. Places it for Hardwick. Alia has left his man to provide the reinforcement required. He's done enough to slow them down. Hardwick a second time. Gunston still nimble of foot and hand. Back to Moore. And Ginnivan, it's play on. Rounded up again. High kick to the top of the square. Sicily and Chol. A rarity tonight.
Yeah, all 3 disposals tonight. He's had a real struggle.
Amon set it up.
That's only his second mark for the game.
Subbed out last match goals against the Giants, but he did kick 3 against Carlton. It's been a tough night to be a forward at Hawthorn. To reduce it back to 40 points. Pretty simple equation. And he does it with ease in his own way, puts it through. It's 40 points again. There is just under 14 minutes remaining.
Yeah, a lot better after half time. Just being able to retain the ball and then score inside their own forward 50. They're going at 22% in the first half, 69% in the second half once going inside 50. So much better there. No, Chol hasn't had a big night. He's able to take a contested mark. Moore's had an influence. She's gone
absolutely.
Predominantly second halves inside.
In the second half, 10 disposals, 2 clearances. Newcombe 11 disposals, 4 clearances and a goal.
There's a lot of centre-bounce. Attendances to be allocated in the absence of Will Day, so Moore has made his claim for the lion's share of those. And there he is again. D'Ambrosio came from the wing. Newcombe's in ball. Casts his eyes forward. D'Ambrosio's on the link-up. He's got Moore on the outside. Moore won't be able to steady. He rides the momentum. Bruised into the hot spots. Warple.
It's a great chase by Lyons. We'll go on the water though, because Warple's getting a shot. Quite known his comeback game, James Warple. 15 disposals.
The dreaded syndesmosis in the opening round, but he's one of the few to escape surgery. So a period of rest and back into the fray in round 5. James Warple at the right foot trot punts. That is good. Back to 34 points. It got as far as 71 before the Hawks have gone about tying things up. 15 goals to 10.
Yeah, 7 goals to 3 so far in this second half. Just see there, taking the ball. This was from a centre bounce. So Dylan Moore was a midfielder. Newcombe was the first to spread. Dylan Moore was the second. You see here, the open side. Then brought the ball back into a really important position. James Walker was the recipient of that kick from Luke Bruce. You see there the options. So good finish.
Well, you never know. 34 points. Almost 13 minutes of playing time. Port Francis, clean to Drew. A territory taker. Unpredictable football. Pow Pepper, top of the square. Disciplined all night, Port Adelaide. At the hole was against Rioli.
I thought there was going to be a hold on battle.
Skillera, it certainly was that.
And a few of them tonight. He was out there doing more. No players up ahead of the ball as well, so it's a poor kick.
Free kicks at 12-0 this half.
Lucky free kick. It's hard to go through a half without hitting a free kick. What did you say then, Hannah?
12-0 this half. Jordan Sweet claiming it was time for one there. And Paul Francis threatening every time he's near the footy. One-on-ones ahead. Jeff got underneath it in the end. The footy locked away. They're just crying ball.
Thank you. Lloyd, Jordan.
Goals to 1 in this quarter. Over at Hawthorn. Port pressing. Drew.
Push in the back.
Gets one.
There it is. Thought he rolled him. Didn't walk.
I'm not going to get pushed in the back today.
He's referring back that centre bounce about 10 minutes ago when
10 metres out. Jason, bring
Francis
everyone
pushed
out.
him
One up.
before the last Port Adelaide goal.
Willie. Jason.
So Willem Drew kicked a goal earlier tonight. That was too easy. He's missed.
6 goals in 11 minutes. Aim on, bangs it in long. Weddles his man. Richards around.
He's up on the wing. He's going to play an attacking wing role, Weddle. So he's going to try and go as hard as they can, as fast as they can, with another forward target.
The kick was too long again. Just gives the Port defenders time to close it down.
Ruckman Adams coming through as Warple clean break, just delays for a moment. McGuinness and Warple collaborate. Forward to McKenzie. Now where to? He's had a good look, assessed what's there. He's going for Sicily. Radaglia out of position. The captain has it.
I love the kick. Love the kick there. He just put it out in front. It wasn't a lead, but he just dropped it in front. The drop zone, so Radaglia wasn't able to get the side of the ball when he turned around. Needs to finish.
No mucking around, just get it through. James Sicily puts us in cheap thrill territory.
It's game on. Game on now. Starting to get a little bit nervous, Port Adelaide. So the mids have got to stand up here. Butters was on the bench moments ago. He's back on the ground now. So the senior leaders have to be better in around the football. Dylan Moore's had a huge quarter, 9 disposals. Just watch the transition there. So they haven't seen a huge amount of this up, but kept flicking the ball along. Just rolled the dice, and it was a good decision in the end. Radaglia just lost touch.
+8 in the contested possession this quarter, Brownie. Ground balls where they've got them as well. +8 in ground balls.
That's a huge turnaround, isn't it?
Yeah, it's momentum. I think space forward of the stoppage, they've found a little bit better in the second half. Hawthorn.
Everyone looking at the scoreboard now and doing the numbers. 29 points. And Francis used his footing, winds. Hawthorn, this is a big clearance. And the fight continues out to the wing. And still it goes. And it's a Hawthorn ball. Ward off the right boot. Here comes Sicily again. McGuinness gets bowled over on the fire-through. It is a free. Realisation now. McGuinness quickly off. Sicily, he got the last. It's a line ball.
Leave the ball. I believe it's a touch behind. Can we just check that the ball was touched in the field of play?
Last year a poster.
It's touch behind. Please confirm.
This year, is it a touch ball?
Review complete. Looking at this angle, we said the ball's touched before crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on the scoreboard.
Brilliant by Zach Butters. Just got to Sicily enough to probably take a metre off the kick of penetration. Desperation by Zach Butters.
He's forced that kick a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Momentum all running one way. 5 goals in 9:45 is very much in the equation. Farrell brings it in long. Wines waited underneath. Didn't take the mark. Ball spits out. Power Pepper good. Port Francis is away. It's the chip and charge. Rioli's the charger. Gives it off to Boak. Works it around to Georgiades. Well constructed until then. Kicks a straight turnover. Impey away to Ward.
Got no targets through the centre of the ground though. Hawthorn, that's why they've had to go wide.
Ambrosio will have to hold up. CJ wouldn't mind a bit of a dash. He's had a bounce in a second. And unloads to half forward. Hardwick or Chol. Chol grounded right to fly. All is gathered up. Radicalier. Richards got knocked off his kick. Reynolds on here. He checks his kick. The Hawks have got two out the back. Sicily has it. Gunston in the square. Look out! The Hawks are charging. Gunston with number 5.
And this happened last year, Jared. They came from nowhere, came to the clouds. That was Nick Watson. This time we lauded Zach Butters before for putting pressure on Sicily's kick, but this time it was Watson. Clubber just come up and force the pressure.
Brilliant by Jarman Impey too. Out of half back just to take off. You're right, the pressure to effect that disposal. And then the deep forwards in Sicily and Gunston. They're the risks you've got to take at the moment. If you're Hawthorn forward, stay deep. Try not to get engaged further up the field. Because the Jarman Impey intercept mark at half back and just take off. See what happens. See what unfolds.
That's a different looking goal as to what we saw in the first half. The Port Adelaide fans' faces say a lot, don't they, at the moment? Negative thoughts creeping in. Hawthorn creeping over the footy. McKenzie. That's a free kick. And it's going Port Adelaide's way. It's a fact.
They're aware of the free kick count.
They are. What will the method be now from Port Adelaide?
Well, I think they need to keep playing. They cannot play safe. Hawthorn seem to be feeding off that at the moment.
Farrell floats it wide. Watch out for Georgiades, who flies, but can't get the timing right.
Even the stoppage game like this, you've got Newcomb who gets through the stoppage. McKenzie, Dylan Moore's been influential further up the ground. Still take this part of the game on. Horn Francis is in there.
Sweet from the front to Boak. To Horn Francis. Guiding kick. It's on the second by Georgiades. He's a mighty kick. Oh, almost worthy of 50. A nervous glance from Barris. Mixed Georgiades. Eyes are darting. Sets it up. No real flyers. Power Pepper. Scores to settle. He's a powerful force. What were you worried about?
I love that. Just willed himself for the contest, was there really involved. They win the ball in at ground level and take the opportunity. He's had a great battle early on in the night with James Sicily. It was fascinating behind the play.
He was in the pocket by himself when Georgiades had the ball. I thought he was going to pull the kick late to Power Pepper. But Power Pepper just had to get front and center. You can see there in the corner. I thought that's where the kick would have been, but just see here, come across the front of the stoppage.
He does do that well.
We've gone from holding their breaths to the chat returning. 28 points is a good cushion. Power Pepper with a couple. And the Hawks resettle themselves. Boat might get out the front. It lands in front of Georgiades and took the high bounce. Cochran threatens at the back, kept it alive well. Butters incisive. Power Pepper. It's a rock-in goal for Rioli. She's alive now. And CJ's going to wear the brunt of it. Throw it into the kick.
Let go. CJ, let's go.
There's another kick.
They're stuck right in now. let's have a look. CJ just shoves Rioli over. It's the double goal that's coming. The maximum pain. Suddenly the margin will be 40 as realisation grows around Adelaide Oval as to what's transpired. One dastardly push.
Let's go.
And double goal. Twice into the trees. Still they want to fight. We always gone from 1 to 3 goals in a thrice. And that margin, which was 22 a moment ago, has blown out again.
There's no love lost, Jared. See there, just showing the ball.
Yeah, not happy with that, Jack. Not much you can do though in that situation. Definitely don't want to give away the free kick, but there's been a fair bit of emotion in this one all throughout.
We would have been disappointed if we didn't see some of that. Meek with the tap. Drew. So the threat has been well and truly extinguished now. And the Port fans and the coach can revel in this. The margin is 40. Wines looking for more. MP. From angles they come. Morrison to Amon. Crowd still riding each and every kick, and decision or non-decision.
Yeah, symbolic of the night actually. I think Hawthorn, Port Adelaide have made good decisions behind the ball. Burgoyne came forward to pressure up, and then Hawthorn haven't been able to execute well enough, especially their kicking skills coming off half back.
A little bit of keepings off. Oh, stat padding. Down to Sweet. Back to Bogue. Lord Francis. He's maintained the rage. To Wines. Forward to Georgiades. Rioli again. Not that time. Jack. Straight into his move with a bounce. An affected kick to Moore. Could be overwhelmed by the numbers and the pressure. Oh, Richards, he caught one high. No.
Thank you. Hey, Sean. Behind you. Thank you.
You just can't tackle Hawthorn, Francis, can you?
Right.
She's so powerful, agility, unbelievable.
Wines with the grab and give to Drew. Oh, got out of the outstretched hands of Jack, but he had the backup. Barris. That is a skyscraper. Farrell was nimble in the collect. Unfortunate smother. Lord Francis took a couple to slow him. Whacking away underneath there at Mackenzie. Brothers is never too far away from a skirmish. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Back to Whitbagger with the source. Hacked out by Newcomb. And got past a couple. Lear recovers suitably. Just needed a bit of support. Didn't quite manage to finesse it away. Bruce and Shoal combined to give Sicily a look. And they're on deep. Gunston's going to kick goal number 6. How about that in a losing cause? And the veteran redefines his possibilities this season, you'd think.
Yeah, it's going to be important, isn't he? Especially with Lewis, no Calcidia out there. Charles had his struggles tonight, so he's obviously the veteran ahead of the ball. It's been fantastic, their only winner. And we just get it over the top. So obviously they're rolling the dice there, Hawthorn trying to run forward of the ball. All little too late. He's done well to continue on his career though. Went to Brisbane, that was a failed experiment. Came back to Hawthorn where he was comfortable.
I think he's fully aware that he was maybe not going to play every game this year, so you take the opportunity. When you get a chance to play, you take the opportunity and force the coaching staff to make some tough calls. And at the moment, he's probably been their best forward, not only tonight, but this year.
It's a huge haul in a losing team. Warple. They're going to fight it out to the end. McKenzie. Oh, yeah.
Another intercept mark, so 19 intercept marks now to Port Adelaide. So Sam Mitchell needs to go to work on that number. Needs to be better ahead of the ball.
Lucky Jones. 13 disposals tonight for him. He's averaged 10.67 disposals last 2 seasons exactly. And that's his average so far this year as well. Well, Francis to Butters, and it is a free going Port's way. Those two sides meet again in Launceston later in the year. Might be an interesting fixture as well. No urgency about the kick. Down the line it goes. Barris rising. Meek. Amon shelling out the handball to Morrison. On Francis hard to get past, but Butters even tougher to Wines. The Hornet again. Georgiades. 1, 2. Not paid.
How sharp was that hand from Butters?
It's good. He's been very
Quick.
That was the umpire's call. The digits. Jack. Over that by Burgoyne. And they come again. It was a little bit wild and woolly as Mead flew. Morrison through to Warple on the bounce. The Wizard. A little invisible for most of tonight. And the ball is over the line and out of bounds.
He's had a great night, Zach Butters. A bit quiet for him. Nick Watson hasn't been as much ball down there as he would have liked. He's surprised actually didn't get involved in the midfield, but he's come up and tried to play half forward as we see there.
Rucks lean into each other. Newcomb tackled without it by Horn Francis. Or not tackled, just pressured the umpire thoughts.
Jason's hand.
47,671. The closing of gather round at Adelaide Oval. Drew at the source. Way to Boak, up to Mead in the grapple. Georgiades takes it, fires, and misses.
He's had a good night, Georgiades. He's looked really dangerous, 3 goals too. He's played well last week.
Play on you.
Sin grabs it back for Port to the inside to Ollie Wines. A little too severe on the snap.
Can you love that from Power Pepper?
And again, Mitch, out here. Mitch, point up.
Straight up the middle here for Tommy.
Kenny working the numbers to the end. Harris fires it down the middle. Go ahead for Warple. Floats it for Ginnivan. Warple again. Tough one for Watson. He did pretty well to manoeuvre. Now Bruce. He's been doing this for years. Muscle memory enacted by Luke Bruce. It was his 300th that caused all the dramas last year. And he cuts the margin to 30 points.
How many times have you seen that? How many times have you seen this from Luke Bruce?
8 of the 9 winning scores for the weekend, over 100 points. And Essendon, 96. The only one that didn't get the 3 figures.
Yeah, they were impressive as well. The scoreboard just shy of 100. It's been some decent margins this weekend. It's been great to be here though. It's been a great festival. Great weather. Conducive for high scoring.
Bruce gets in on the axe as Gunston, the 6, is the equal to his career best. He's kicked it 4 times. Did it throughout his days. Crashing in the middle. Wines walled out from Warple. Impey's trying to get out the front. Drew kept him away from it. Berry gets a touch. And it's Port who win that skirmish. Richards couldn't quite handle the ferocity of the kick coming from Farrell. Berry kept going for him though. Power Peppers in a duel, carried him. Barris with the intercept mark. Warple limps from the field, so you don't want to see that. Late in the losing cause. Jones fashions the turnover. Drew, Horn-Francis, tackled by Brewston, wins holding the ball. Good win for a veteran over a Tyro. So he couldn't be tackled. Luke Bruce just made a liar out of him. Out to the side for D'Ambrosio. McInnes positioned himself, but Farrell got the fist in. So Easter Monday, the Hawks' next assignment. He's just coming back from the syndesmosis Warple, so all fingers crossed there.
He's battled hard tonight on his return. The Port Dynamos led the way out of the middle. And their fans love them for it. And a tough start to the season. But what a performance they have put up tonight. Suddenly they love their club and their coach again. There's a common theme. The Sallies from the crowd rather than the players.
Succession plans back alive.
Yeah, give him the longer contract. Another 49 seconds. Horn-Francis. He's having a bounce. His ambition hasn't wavered. Georgie Hardy's got that done. That's not a mark either. That's news to Barris.
One all now.
Ball, they cry. Time for one more. One more moment. One last gather round highlight. Drew to Wines. Who better than Butters? Bit of an anticlimax as the ball drifts across the face. And we're down to the last 24 seconds. And uncanny Kenny, he's done it again.
Just the winning margin to be decided. A quarter that has gone into the 36th minute. Sweet clears the way of 1 and 2. Riddle ended up with a footy. Moore clears the area. And everyone's happy for that to go out of bounds. They've fought each other to a standstill.
Yeah, they really have. I just think the Port lead has been brilliant tonight. Look at that midfield Butters, Horn-Francis, Rosie off half back. I think Power Pepper ahead of the ball, Geordie. They lead from the front at the start. They set the tone for their teammates to come along. That's what set up the scoreboard.
Sweet just cleared the way again. McKenzie's ended up with a footy. Feeds it inboard for Amon. Could Gunston come up with his best night around the sticks? He can't get access. It's a power-packed close to gather rounds. It came with a dose of shock and awe as Port inflict Hawthorn's first loss of the season. Again, they send the Hawks away from Adelaide Oval with a fresh dose of pain. Throughout the night and the air until next time. For Ken Hinkley, it was a week to endure. It's a week of his own making. He's the other side of it now. He'll coach against Hawthorn at least once more, for sure. He'll be glad to be through it, I'm sure. Some hostilities set aside for the time being. Sean Burgoyne is downstairs with the man who set all of this up, the captain, Connor Rosie.
And with the skipper, Connor, talk us through this game and the start. 6 goals in the first quarter. What led to that blistering start?
Yeah, I suppose it probably started a bit last week. We felt like our second, third and fourth quarter we're pretty good. We got back to playing our bread of footy, I guess, and we brought in some new people and adjusted a few things. It's probably taken a little bit to click, so we felt like we built a little bit of momentum, even though we didn't get the win last week. And to come out here, and I was really proud of the way the boys approached the week, and hopefully this can be the start of a bit of momentum.
Talk us about the rivalry that's been created this last couple of times you've played. It's very fiery out there. Was that mentioned during the week?
No, not really, to be honest. I feel like it gets built up a fair bit externally, and people like talking about it. From our point of view, we didn't start the season the way we wanted, and this was an important game to win. So, yeah, like I said, I was just proud about our effort and intensity and just the way we played in general.
And the switch to halfback, 2 goals, is that going to be a regular thing now?
I don't know, you'll have to ask Kenny that. It was, thrown up early in the week, and I guess I played a little bit there before I got drafted, and feel like I can be a bit more of a leader down there and help the boys out. We're pretty young down back, so yeah, we'll see next week.
No worries, mate. Go enjoy the victory with the boys.
Thanks, Sean.
On the siren, the other leader, the glee from Zach Butters, who does possess the crazy eyes every day.
You do your own lip reading there. And that's meant plenty to them. Gives them a foothold in the season. They look decidedly mediocre until tonight.
Just a reminder of how unpredictable this game can still be, and from an AFL point of view, everyone's flying high. From an AFL point of view, there are more than we expect number of teams struggling. So for one of those teams down the bottom half who only had a win to their name, it's a big win for them.
So the last 3 here for Hawthorn is beaten from an impregnable position. Heartbreak at the semi-final when it's the width of the goalpost, and then built as such a main event tonight. They didn't show up in the opening half. There's no escaping that.
Back to Sean.
There's a blistering start, Zach, and whenever there's a bit of a scuffle, you're in and amongst it. You must love that.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good part of the game, and I feel like if I can control it and not let it get too far, that it gets me into the game as well, and really brings out my competitive nature. So I often get told off by Mum and Kenny and a few others and all your coaches at the club, but sometimes it's just like backing up my teammates, and it gets me into the game.
So what led to the 6-goal first quarter? What did Ken say to you in the pre-game?
Yeah, I think last week was a disappointing start, so that was our focus going into it. The first 10 minutes, if we can just apply really good pressure, bring a good contest game that we knew would give ourselves a chance.
It's your second game back at a high intensity this game. How's the body feeling?
Yeah, pretty sore. I've definitely been moving better previously, so I think for me it's just one step at a time, and hopefully the back of the year I can really hit my straps.
And Georgiades up front, since Todd Marshall's gone down, he's really made that forward line his own. What's your opinion on him?
Yeah, he's really stood up and really grown into his role and really matured, and I think he feels like he's the man down there, and I think he likes that feeling. They call him the Prince of Perth, but back in Perth, so I think he can run the forward line now and be the man down there.
No worries, mate. Go enjoy it with the boys.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
He makes a difference, doesn't he? Doesn't he make a difference? And it is the weaponry that they do possess. And when you talk about Port Adelaide and their list, and obviously there is some doubt over his long-term future, contracted for another year. There's no doubting their talent in the midfield.
So Sydney and Sydney, North Melbourne here, and off to play the Bulldogs and back for a showdown. So the wrong side of the ledger, but back in the season after tonight, what can they make of that stretch? So Mitchell, he's lingered for a while in the box there, hasn't he? Perhaps pondering where it's all been. First rule of gather round Hutto is to gather, and we're gathered in numbers of 269,506 across these 4 days. 100,000 people attended the footy festival. 40% of that number has come from outside South Australia, and 27% from Victoria. A good many Hawthorn supporters have been here for it. They'll leave disappointed, as will the Hawks, but
they are now, man. That's the weekend is, and the weather's been amazing, which has all added to it. From a football point of view, it's only one game, and as Sam Mitchell said, they haven't really played their best footy, particularly with the footy. With this huge Monday clash coming up on Easter Monday against the Cats before they take on the Eagles and the Tigers. So I think either way they've got some wins coming up, but just the other top of the ladder before tonight. I wonder how much reassessment will go on.
it's a volatile fan base in Port Adelaide at the moment. For a lot of years under the same regime, but the references are people in love with their team again as they leave such a big occasion. And it does put in mind a few recent performances that they have had. They still have the capacity to stun
and inflict maximum damage in the first half of this. Had Sam Mitchell's head spinning for a while in the box, and then he came down to the bench. There was a degree of exasperation about it, and certainly helplessness. They clearly reset after half-time, so that was commendable, that the game was long gone by then.
And that's a vastly different feeling to what they've experienced in all but one game so far this year. Port Adelaide, disappointing. Certainly at the end against Essendon on the road, and then they came against St Kilda too little too late last week. But led the way tonight and were able to hold on by 30 points against a side that has slipped from top down to 5th, Hawthorn. Of course, it's not a complete ladder, as we know, but the reigning premiers and their fellow Queenslanders, the Gold Coast.
Well, South Australia might be the centre of the football world, but the power seekers in Queensland, it's two unbeaten teams from there.
There's a cute clash on the horizon too, a few weeks away.
Port Adelaide dragged themselves out of that long tail. It sort of goes to 12 now. Beyond that, they put themselves back in a court. I think largely discounted from people's contemplations. You have to reassess them after tonight.
The joy and the relief.
We won't get told the truth, but this was the perfect game at the perfect time. I have no doubt they would have been wound up to the eyeballs, and there's that Buddy's reaction at the end. And they sort of harness that in such a powerful way.
And we'll see a little bit of that come out too on the side.
It's usually a pretty good indicator, isn't it? Kings of the town, Crows went down.
They did.
On opening night, Crows close with a win. And the farewell to gather rounds, fireworks light up the city.
Playing Port Adelaide when Port Adelaide are playing for Ken. The Power have stunned the football world tonight with a first half annihilation, setting up a 30-point victory over Hawthorn.
All right, folks, there we go. Let's wrap this game up. 30 points was the total margin in the end. Port Adelaide 18, 13, 128. Hawthorn 14, 7, 91. It was a decent comeback from the Hawks. At one stage, they were trailing by 71 points, but in the end, it was just 30. Whew, I tell you what, in that last quarter, it all came down to who was going to kick the next goal, whether Hawthorn could get within 3 with about 6 minutes to go, or Port Adelaide get the next one and run away. And that's exactly what they did. It was a good effort by Port Adelaide. A good game. It was definitely a good final quarter, that's for sure, when the Hawks were starting to come. You just sort of had that feeling we were going to see a boil over, but it just didn't happen. All right, let's go on to the goal scorers for the game. Jack Gunston, there we go. He kicked a bag of 6 for the Hawks. Fantastic effort by him off his 13 disposals. James Sicily, he's always good for the Hawks, always good for the Hawks. He kicked a couple. Lloyd Meek kicked 2, Warple kicked 1, Newton kicked 1, Joel kicked 1, Bruce kicked 1. They were the goal kickers for the Hawks. For Port Adelaide, Willie Rioli, he kicked 3. Tell you what, he showed the ball to the Hawthorn backman. He didn't like that. He got the shove in the back and got a second chance. 2 goals out of that one. Mitch Georgiadis kicked 3. Connor Rose, Richards, Sam Powell Pepper, Jackson Mead, all 2 goals for Port Adelaide. Singles, Ollie Lord, William Drew, Tom Cochrane, Miles Bergman. They were the single goal scorers Let's have a look at the disposal count now. Zach Butters for Port Adelaide topped the table. The only one in the 30s. He kicked 33. Had 33 disposals, 14 kicks, 19 handballs, 5 marks, 4 tackles, 8 clearances. Great job. Joe Newcomb was the best for Hawthorn. Let's just scroll down this and you can see who your players were that got the stats, how they went. Don't forget, this is the disposal line right here. These are your kicks, these are your handballs, these are your marks, these are your tackles, hit-outs, clearances, and of course the goals they scored and behinds. And if you play the AFL fantasy game, these are the points in the left-hand side there. Jack Gunston, 15 disposals, as I said before, 13 kicks, 6 straight goals. You don't get much better than that, do you? That's just a fantastic effort. There we go. Nicky Watson, the wizard. Tell you what, he didn't have much wizardry about him tonight. He only had the 9 possessions, 5 kicks, 4 handballs. Didn't do a great deal. Chol was, well, he wasn't really to be seen either for the Hawks. Let's have a quick look at the team stats. Not a great deal in it there. Just 25 plus to Port Adelaide. Kicks was only 16. A 9 difference in the handballs. Inside 50s. Where's the scoring shots? There it is. 61 inside 50s for Port Adelaide's. 31 scoring shots, so they did quite well there. And of course, 21 scoring shots for 48 inside 50s for Hawthorn there. Free kicks. Hawthorn got the best of that tonight. 21 free kicks to Port Adelaide's 12. The hit out, so Port Adelaide won that quite easily by 12. Clearances, only 6 the difference to Port Adelaide. Centre clearances, Hawks by 5. Stoppage clearances, Port by 11. Contested and uncontested, reasonably similar there. Only 4 and 22 the difference. It's not too bad at all. Turnovers, well, a little bit high, but on season average, it was a reasonably good pressure game when both teams had their turn. Marks, nice to see both teams having 12 marks inside 50, giving their forwards a bit of a shot on goal, which is good. And let's just have a quick look at the tackle count. All pretty good there as well. 55-65, pretty much on season average. Tackles inside 50. Port, well, they did bring a little bit more pressure this evening. Tell you what, they definitely brought the A game against Hawthorn tonight. That wraps up Gather Round here, folks. That wraps up Gather Round here. Absolutely spectacular. Let's just have a little bit of a look, folks, at next week's game, who Port Adelaide and, of course, Hawthorn play. And, of course, next week, next Sunday, Port Adelaide take on the Sydney Swans at the SCG. That's Sunday, 3:20 p.m. Melbourne time. That should be a fantastic game. Sydney, coming off a loss to Collingwood, will be looking to rebound off that on their home game there against Port Adelaide. Can Port Adelaide bring this type of football? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. And, of course, probably the match of the round, folks, is on Easter Monday. That's right. That's Monday. Easter Monday, Monday week. Geelong taking on Hawthorn, the MCG. 3:20 p.m. Monday, April 21. That's going to be an absolute ring-a-ding-ding game. You don't want to miss that. But the next game up, folks, is, of course, is next Thursday evening. Well, if the Geelong Hawthorn's the match of the round, this match has got to be definitely second on the queue for match of the round. Of course, Brisbane Lions taking on Collingwood up there at the Gabba, 7:30 p.m. Thursday night. Should be an absolute crackering game. That's a game you don't want to miss. It should be absolutely fantastic. Of course, we had the poll tonight. We got that wrong. We had 55% picking Hawthorn to win. I think most people would have picked Hawthorn. But to no avail tonight because it was Port Adelaide. 30-point winners over Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval. All right, folks, that wraps up another week. Round 5 here, AFL football action. Gather round over there in Adelaide. What a fantastic event it was. All teams over there in the Barossa Valley. And of course, Adelaide City, where they played at the Adelaide Oval. Absolutely fantastic event. We'll look forward to that one next time. That's all I've got for this time around, folks. Until next Thursday evening when we are with you again for the Brisbane Collingwood game up there at the Gabba. That's ciao for now, and we'll see you at the next game.